Yeah. The most effective way to get revenge on a man is to go after the woman he cares about. In my previous life, my dad's friend Victor not only stole every last bit of my family fortune, but also teamed up with the campus beauty to send me to prison. Now that I'd been reborn, I was going to start with his wife and daughters and make him taste the same despair I once felt. At that moment, a stunning, curvy woman sat beside my bed. She gently blew on the spoonful of medicine. "Ethan, it's time to take your medicine," looking at everything before me. My heart clenched and tears instantly filled my eyes. It was so good to see Claire again. When she saw my expression, Claire's eyes immediately turned red. She looked at me anxiously. "Ethan, what's wrong? Are you feeling sick somewhere? Don't scare me like this. Come on, let's go to the hospital and get you checked out." It wasn't until Claire grabbed my hand that I finally snapped back to reality. "No, I'm fine. I just zoned out for a second." Claire breathed a sigh of relief. Caught up in her emotions, she pulled my head against her soft chest and gently stroked me. "As long as you're okay. You suddenly passed out this afternoon. You scared me half to death." A faint fragrance lingered around my nose, and I was practically suffocating. I mumbled, "I'm fine. I just can't breathe." The moment those words left my mouth, Claire finally realized her position was a little inappropriate, and her cheeks instantly flushed. She cleared her throat softly, then casually released me as if nothing had happened. After that, she gently touched my forehead. "Your fever should be gone now. Be good. And finish this last dose of medicine." I nodded, then drank the entire bowl in one go. Claire smiled warmly, looking effortlessly charming. She reached out and gently ruffled my hair. "Good boy, Ethan." Then she smoothed the wrinkles around her hips and stood up. "I'll go make dinner now and get some more rest. I'll call you when it's ready." I stared at Claire's graceful figure as she walked away. With every step she took, her slender waist moved with effortless allure, and her rounded hips swayed gently. "Claire, in this life, I'll be the one to take care of you. As for that heartless husband of yours, Victor, I'll make him wish he were dead." System binding successful. Beginner mission issued. Complete the required objective with any woman whose affection level has reached 60 or higher. Full clear reward. Gene purification serum. Mission time limit, 3 days. To prevent the host from becoming hopelessly love-struck. Affection level is one of the system's core functions. Before I could explore the system any further, Claire's gentle voice came from outside. "Ethan, come wash your hands. Dinner's ready." My heart stirred, but I had no choice but to suppress my curiosity, and quickly answered, "Coming." When I reached the dining room, Claire was already waiting at the table. She wore a cute little raccoon apron, and had tied her hair up high, with a few loose strands framing her forehead. Her curvy figure was like a perfectly ripe peach, tempting enough to make anyone want to taste. Sexy, yet domestic. Cute and gentle, somehow. All those qualities blended perfectly together in her, creating an unexpectedly charming contrast. Tonight, it was just the two of us at home. Unable to resist, I silently commanded, "View Claire's information." The next second, a futuristic pale blue holographic screen appeared before my eyes. Only 16 times. And that particular count was actually 0. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, thinking about Victor. I silently mocked him. "You really are useless. Looks like I'll have to give Claire the better life he never could." And her affection toward me was actually at 90. Heh. Looking at Claire's gorgeous, curvy figure, I suddenly felt strangely restless. A woman around Claire's age usually had plenty of needs. Victor was already in his 50s. Apparently, the spirit was willing, but the body wasn't. Looks like a young, handsome guy like me would have to lend a hand. "Ethan, why aren't you eating?" Claire looked up at me, only to realize I had been staring at her chest the entire time. Her face immediately turned bright red. Ethan really had grown up. He was already an adult. For some reason, he seemed different now, almost more handsome. Claire's heart began pounding. She suddenly felt a little conflicted. As his elder, should she perhaps teach Ethan, about those kinds of things? I snapped back to reality. And while enjoying the delicious food, I kept praising Claire's cooking. Sorry, I spaced out just now. Horden, Claire, your cooking is seriously amazing. Even the chefs at those 5-star hotels can't compare to you. Claire broke into a huge smile. It's not that good. You just know how to flatter me. High EQ, choice assist activated. When the host makes the correct choice, the target's affection may increase, and the host will receive romance points, which can be used to purchase items from the system shop. Choosing incorrectly may decrease affection. There is no additional penalty. The host may also refuse to choose and respond freely. Option 1. Tilt your head back arrogantly and say, "Of course I'm lying. I complimented you twice and you already got carried away. How did you make it this far in life?" Option 2. Hug Claire dramatically and say, "Sweet, let me see. Who tastes better, you or the pork belly in my bowl?" Option 3. Say gently, "Of course I mean it, Claire. If I could eat your," pause, "cooking every single day, I'd definitely be the happiest man in the world. I hope I can keep eating it every day from now on." I was speechless. Obviously, I was choosing the third option. I looked at Claire with gentle determination. "Of course I mean it, Claire. If I could eat your cooking every single day, I'd definitely be the happiest man in the world. I hope I can keep eating it every day from now on." Romance, points 100. Current total 100. Claire's affection toward you +1. Current affection 91. Keep it up. Claire looked a little embarrassed and gave me a playful, charming look. "Nonsense. You really know how to sweet-talk people. I'm serious." I smiled. "Claire, I'd never lie to you." At that moment, a strange atmosphere seemed to fill the room. Neither of us spoke again. We simply continued eating in silence. After dinner, Claire stretched lazily, revealing a breathtaking curve. She rubbed her sore neck, and a hint of exhaustion showed on her delicate face. Seeing that, something stirred inside me. Just as I was about to speak, the system jumped in. High EQ choice assist activated. Option 1. Rub your hands together with a sleazy grin and say, "Come on, let me help you loosen up properly." Hee. Option 2. Walk over and slap her across the face. Then say domineeringly, "If you don't take care of yourself, are you trying to make me worry about you?" Option 3. Smile gently and say, "Claire, you worked hard, making such an amazing dinner for me. Let me help you relax a little." I took a deep breath, then walked over to Claire and said gently, "Claire, you worked hard, making such an amazing dinner for me. Let me help you relax a little." That probably isn't a good idea. Romance points +100. Current total 200. Claire's affection toward you +1. Current affection 92. Keep it up. Sure enough, women didn't always say what they really meant. Her mouth said no, but her affection level quietly went up anyway. Friendly reminder. You may spend 100 romance points in the system shop to redeem Master Masseuse Technique to improve your chances of winning her over. Would you like to redeem it? There was something this useful? I immediately thought, redeem it. Romance points 100. Current total 100. Skill acquired, Master Masseuse Technique. The next second, a massive amount of massage knowledge flooded into my mind. I gently persuaded her, "It's fine. It's just a massage. Claire, you've done so much for this family. You need to take better care of yourself, too. Seeing you this exhausted really makes me worry." Then, "Okay, thank you, Ethan." Somehow, Claire found herself agreeing. She felt deeply moved. She had quietly devoted herself to this family for so many years. Victor was almost never home, and even her 3 daughters rarely showed her such open care and concern the way I did. Then Claire stood up and walked toward the couch, her rounded hips swaying softly. She looked a little embarrassed. After taking a deep breath, she lay face down on the couch. As she lay down, her shapely curves bounced slightly like jelly. My eyelid twitched, and I swallowed hard, forcing down the heat rising inside me. I walked over to Claire. "All right, Claire, I'm starting." Claire buried her burning face into the couch and whispered, "Okay, go ahead." The next second, Claire felt a rush of masculine energy wash over her, and her mind went completely blank. A tingling sensation instantly spread through her body. Claire couldn't help letting out a soft gasp. Her face turned as red as a ripe peach. I stopped what I was doing and asked gently, "Claire, what's wrong? Does it hurt?" When that intense warmth left her body, Claire suddenly felt strangely disappointed. She quickly explained, "No, you just startled me. Then I'll keep going. I used the Master Masseuse Technique and focused on massaging Claire, Gradually, she completely relaxed under my hands. It had been a long time since she had felt this peaceful. Ethan, where did you learn how to massage? You're really good at this, as long as you like it, Claire. I learned it online, just so I could help you relax. Claire was deeply touched. Ethan really was such a thoughtful kid, unlike her 3 daughters, who were hardly ever home. Thank you, Ethan. I really like it, I replied seriously. I should be the one thanking you. Claire, 6 years ago, after my parents died in a car accident, you were always there to look after me. I can never thank you enough. Although I hated Victor to the bone, I genuinely respected and cared deeply about Claire. Throughout my entire middle school years, Claire was always checking on me and making sure I was okay. She often took me out and spent time with me. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that without her help, I never would have escaped the grief of losing my parents. In this life, I would never allow that tragedy to happen again. I was definitely going to make Victor suffer beyond imagination, but I wasn't going to ruin myself in the process. I had finally been given another life. I still wanted to enjoy it together with Claire. Claire felt a wave of sympathy for me. She and my mom had been best friends for many years, and my mom's sudden death had devastated her. That's all in the past now. College life is only going to get more exciting. And you're so handsome, Ethan. I'm sure plenty of girls will be chasing after you. Just don't forget about me when that happens. The moment she finished speaking, I immediately shook my head. I won't. Riverdale University isn't far from home. Once sophomore year starts, I'm going to live here so I can spend every day with you. Claire's cheeks flushed, but inside, she was secretly delighted. She pretended to scold me. What nonsense are you talking about? You'll have to learn to live independently eventually. Claire, I'm serious. Her heart started pounding. She flusteredly said, Oh, come on. You're going to have a girlfriend someday. It would be inconvenient if I were always around. Besides, I'm already getting old and losing my looks. Eventually, you'll probably think I'm just a nag. High EQ. Choice assist activated. Option 1. Let your hands wander carelessly. Then grin suggestively and say, if you know you'd be in the way, why don't you pack your bags and get out of this villa? Though if you want to join us, I wouldn't mind. Hee hee. Option 2. Say casually, wow. So even you realize you're almost 40 and getting old. At that age, if I were you, I'd have died of embarrassment already. Yet somehow, you're still hanging around. Option 3. Say seriously, Claire. You're still young and beautiful. If the two of us went shopping together, people would definitely think we were siblings. And honestly, it's all your fault, Claire. You've raised my standards for women by hundreds of levels. Where am I supposed to find someone like you, who's both beautiful and caring, even if I'm lucky enough to find a girlfriend like you someday? If she doesn't respect you, I won't put up with her. Without hesitation, I chose the third response. Claire burst into laughter, her shapely figure trembling, with every laugh as she couldn't help, complaining, What are you even saying? Romance points. Poor 100. Current total 200. Claire's affection toward you +1. Current affection 93. Beep it up. My hands quietly moved lower and began massaging the sides of Claire's body. I calmly said, I'm not talking nonsense. My greatest wish is to find someone exactly like you as my girlfriend. Unfortunately, that's almost impossible. I was simply born at the wrong time. If I could have a wife like you, I'd gladly give up 20 years of my life. Don't say things like that. Claire's face turned bright red, while inwardly she couldn't stop sighing. If only she could have a husband like Ethan. Handsome, fit, emotionally stable, gentle. He was practically her ideal man. Nothing like Victor, who was never home, and even cheated on her, that bastard. She must have been blind back then to ever choose him. I said with a perfectly serious expression, Claire, let me massage your back too. You've probably been overworked. Your back feels really stiff. Still dazed from the massage, Claire murmured, Okay, sorry for troubling you, Ethan. An hour later, Claire felt her entire body go weak. She quickly pleaded, All right, I really can't take any more. You've worked hard too, Ethan. Let's stop the massage here for tonight. I rubbed my aching fingers. I was getting tired too, so I nodded. All right, that's enough for today. We can continue another time. Claire got up, planning to wash up in the bathroom. But the moment she stood, her legs went weak, and she stumbled forward uncontrollably. Standing nearby, I was dragged down with her, and ended up breaking her fall. one of us lying down while the other sat on top. The position couldn't have been more awkwardly intimate. Claire's face instantly turned bright red. She hurriedly tried to get up, but her numb legs had no strength at all. The next second, she fell right back onto me. For a moment, even I didn't know what to do. The entire room fell into an incredibly strange silence. Looking at Claire, whose blush had spread all the way down her neck, I finally broke the silence. "Claire, let me carry you up." Without waiting for her response, I slipped one arm behind Claire's shoulders and the other beneath her knees, then lifted her straight into my arms. Claire caught the distinctive scent on me and felt as if she might faint, as she silently felt the strength in my arms. Her heart pounded wildly against her ribs. Soon, I reached Claire's bedroom and gently placed her on the soft bed. "Claire, are you okay?" I'm fine." "Then I'll head back to my room." After watching me leave, Claire buried her face in the pillow and rolled around restlessly on the bed. Inside, she screamed, "I'm going to die of embarrassment. This is way too humiliating. How am I supposed to face Ethan tomorrow? It's fine. If my conscience is clear, there's nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about." After returning to my room, I rushed into the bathroom and took a cold shower to calm the heat inside me. After washing up, I lay on my bed and began thinking about everything. Painful memories from my previous life surfaced once again. Victor had been my dad's childhood friend. The two of them founded Horizon, the largest MC inspection company in the city. After my parents died, he used sweet words and deception to steal my shares. Fortunately, there was still time to change everything. In this life, I would take back everything I had lost, and then some. I would seize the business Victor was so proud of, and crush the dignity he valued as a man. A father's debts. Being repaid by his daughter sounded perfectly reasonable to me. I was simply helping Victor's wife and the 3 daughters. Switch sides, that was all. But should I start with Claire? This 3 daughters. That was something worth considering. Victor himself could wait. I had plenty of time to torture him slowly. As for the other people on my revenge list, they could serve as appetizers first. Before long, it was 2 a.m. I got up to grab a glass of water from the kitchen. When I passed Claire's bedroom, I noticed her door wasn't fully closed. Light was still flickering inside, accompanied by some strange gut sounds, including the vibration of a phone. Who could be calling this late? And there was the sound of water, too. Was Claire only taking a shower now? Driven by curiosity, I quietly crept over and peeked through the crack in the door. A warm yellow light flickered inside the room, while pleasant music played softly. My heart started pounding. Damn. Calm down. I took a deep breath. Just as I was about to leave, I accidentally bumped the door. Creak. The sound of the hinges turning was especially sharp in the silent night. The next second, Claire and I locked eyes. High EQ Choice Assist activated. Option 1, burst out laughing. Hee, Claire, here I come. Option 2, say casually, wow, you didn't even close the door. Was that on purpose or by accident? Or did you accidentally do it on purpose? Option 3, pat your chest seriously and say, Claire, you can't keep doing this by yourself. Let me help you. No need to thank me. I'm always happy to help. Seeing the 3 options the system gave me, I was instantly speechless. Claire, who was lying on the bed, was scared half to death by the sudden creak. Her face turned pale. Then she saw the figure standing by the door and instantly recognized my eyes. Former cases. In terms in Tostero, she quickly grabbed the blanket beside her. Band covered herself up. Claire's mind was in complete chaos. Countless thoughts raced through her head. Her entire body seemed to turn crimson, the blush spreading from her flat stomach all the way to her fair face. What am I supposed to do? This is so embarrassing. When did Ethan get here? Did he see everything? He isn't going to come in, is he? What am I supposed to do if he does? Should I refuse him? How am I supposed to face Ethan after this? Inside the bedroom, Claire saw me walk away and finally let out a long breath. I cursed inwardly, stupid system. I'm choosing none of them. Claire's affection toward the host +1. Current affection 94. Keep it up. The sudden system notification made me jump. I quickly sped up and escaped back to my room. The next morning, Claire and I silently ate breakfast with our heads lowered. Both of us had huge dark circles under our eyes. Claire was extremely nervous, and even her breathing was slightly uneven. A rosy blush slowly spread across her fair skin. Even her small, delicate earlobes had turned faintly pink. She cautiously asked, "Ethan, did you see anything last night?" Just as I was about to answer, the system's voice sounded at the worst possible time. High EQ choice assist activated. Option 1, say shamelessly, "Of course I saw it. I even went back to my room and played a little game afterward. After all, the moonlight was beautiful last night. The moon was so big and bright. I saw everything perfectly clearly. Too bad I was too busy looking to record it. How about you do it again?" Option 2, say casually, "Ma'am, you wouldn't want anyone else finding out your secret, would you?" Option 3, pretend to be confused. "What do you mean? I went straight back to my room and fell asleep last night." I immediately chose option 3, romance points plus 100. Current total 300. Claire looked visibly relieved. She clearly didn't want to continue this awkward conversation. Fine. Even fooling herself was better than nothing. Never mind. I'm going out to buy groceries. Finish your breakfast. Your English tutor will be coming over later. Because my English grades were poor, Claire had specifically hired a foreign tutor for me. Looking back, I really had been an idiot in my previous life. I had such an attractive tutor and never made a move. Just thinking about it made me want to slap my old self 10 times. If I wanted to complete the beginner mission, it looked like I would have to rely on this tutor. Okay, with that I quickly finished my breakfast. After eating, I volunteered to wash the dishes, while Claire went out to buy groceries. Before long, the doorbell rang. I dried my hands and hurried over to open the door. The moment I opened it, a stunning blonde woman with blue eyes and a striking figure appeared before me. She wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses and a simple white blouse with a fitted pencil skirt below. She held several books against her chest and carried a pointer in one hand. Her entire presence gave off a mixture of wildness and intellectual charm. "Hello, I'm Linda," I immediately thought. View Linda's information. The next second, a futuristic pale blue holographic screen appeared before my eyes. Name, Linda. Appearance, 92. Personality, bold and outgoing. Interests, money and making more money. Affection, 55. Special trait, natural charmer. Value, 20x. Experience, 24 and times. Marriages, 0. Relationship status. Currently looking for a wealthy new boyfriend. Current mood, happy. Current wish, to find a handsome, rich boyfriend. I stepped forward and enthusiastically took the books from Linda's hands. "Hi, I'm Ethan. You can just call me Ethan. Come in. Make yourself at home." Linda smiled gently. "Thanks. Do I need to change shoes?" I poured her a cup of warm coffee and handed it to her. Linda looked around the room and was immediately stunned by the luxurious interior. She secretly grew excited. She hadn't expected her new student to be this handsome and apparently wealthy. Had her luck finally turned around? Was she finally about to land a rich young guy? Thinking that, she quietly undid another button on her blouse, then put on what she thought was a seductive smile, and walked into the living room. She looked exactly like a seasoned hunter spotting her prey. Linda smoothed down her fitted skirt, then sat in the chair and crossed her legs. The movement was deliberately eye-catching. Linda had studied in China for many years and had long since become fluent in Chinese. "Ethan, just call me Linda. I'm only a few years older than you anyway." I smiled brightly and asked, "Linda, why didn't you go back to America? Why did you decide to stay and work here instead?" Linda instantly put on a sad expression and said with a choked voice, "My mom died giving birth to me. My dad is a hopeless gambler. And he abandoned me too. I don't want to go back to a city where every street feels full of addicts and shootings. People here are warm and welcoming, and it's safe, with amazing food everywhere. So, I decided to stay." High EQ choice assist activated. Option 1, grab her hand and sneer. "Enough with the innocent act. Can we skip the nonsense? I have money, and you have looks and a great figure. We both know what we want." Option 2, say casually, "Linda, you wouldn't want to lose this job, would you?" Option 3, say with concern, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up something painful. If you ever run into trouble here in Hangzhou, you can come to me. I have a few connections around here." I gently held Linda's fair hand and said sincerely, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up something painful." If you ever run into trouble here in Hangzhou, you can come to me. I have a few connections around here. Romance points plus 100. Current total 400. Linda's affection toward the host. Parse 5. Current affection 60. Keep it up. Well, of those 5 affection points, 4 of them probably came from what I said at the end. Perfect. I had reached the required 60 affection points. Now I only needed to complete the rest of the mission. Linda looked at my handsome face, and her delicate cheeks turned rosy. Her heart began pounding too. And no, it's okay. After a moment of silence, I reluctantly let go of her hand and said, Linda, shall we start now? Sure. My room is this way. I led Linda into my bedroom. I haven't cleaned it in a while, so it's a little messy. Don't mind it. Linda looked around the room and found it surprisingly neat. Not at all. You're being too modest. This is much cleaner and tidier than my place. We sat down at the desk and officially began today's tutoring session. We were sitting fairly close together, and a pleasant fragrance lingered around me. I could even feel the softness brushing against my arm, while Linda explained the questions. She kept leaning against me, intentionally or not. Linda, what does bend mean? Linda's large eyes shifted, as if she had suddenly thought of something amusing. She gave me a charming smile. Come here, I'll teach you. After saying that, Linda leaned directly against me, her bright red lips moving close to my ear, till she was practically pressed against me. 2.5 hours later, the system's voice sounded again. Linda's affection toward the host plus 15. Current affection, 75. Keep it up. Congratulations, host. Beginner mission completed. Make the world a little more loving. Reward delivered. Gene purification. Serum plus 1. Finally, the mission was complete. I glanced at Linda, who was lying on the bed catching her breath, then quickly headed into the bathroom. I took out the gene purification serum, and a pale blue holographic screen appeared before my eyes. Gene Purification Serum, Standard Version, a technological product from the Galactic Empire, developed to correct flaws in the human body. After injection, physical fitness and reaction speed will increase 5-fold. Lifespan will increase by approximately 30%, and most genetic defects will be significantly improved. It can also prevent the majority of diseases. I rolled up my sleeve, and without hesitation, injected the serum as it slowly entered my body. My body was also undergoing an astonishing transformation. A warm current slowly flowed through my limbs, while my entire body began sweating heavily, and black impurities were expelled from my pores. The process was surprisingly fast, lasting only about 10 minutes. My vision suddenly became incredibly sharp. I could even see dust floating in the air. The muscles across my body also became clearly defined. Although my overall build hadn't changed much, the moment I flexed, my muscles became as hard as rock, and the reflection in the mirror looked unbelievably handsome. I casually grabbed the bottle of body wash, and the plastic bottle cracked in my hand. Then I glanced down at the impressive result of the transformation, and nodded in satisfaction. No, I needed to test the effects properly. My gaze shifted toward Linda, who still hadn't fully caught her breath, and a mischievous smile curled across my lips. I quickly finished taking a hot shower, then casually walked back toward her. 2.5 hours later, the system notification sounded. Linda's affection toward the host plus 20. Current affection, 95. Keep it up. Looking at Linda lying exhausted on the bed, I couldn't help shaking my head with a sigh. That's enough tutoring for today. Linda, I'll take you home. With that, I helped the exhausted Linda down to the underground garage. I casually picked the Porsche 911, then settled her into the passenger seat, and stepped on the gas. The car quickly left the neighborhood. Linda, are you okay? Linda looked completely drained. She slumped weakly against the seat, and at that point, she was barely conscious. With no better option, I found a nearby 5-star hotel, booked a presidential suite, and brought her inside to rest. Sitting on the edge of the bed in the presidential suite, I scrolled through videos while waiting for Linda to recover. It took quite a while before she finally came around. She looked at me resentfully. You're way too much. I thought I was the hunter, but who knew an innocent-looking little lamb like you was actually a hungry wolf in sheep's clothing? At the same time, she felt overwhelmed by happiness. Handsome and rich, with incredible stamina. I was exactly the kind of partner she wanted. I put on an innocent expression. What are you talking about? I have no idea what you mean. Linda rolled her eyes at me, then wrapped her arms around me. 3 hours later, the system notification sounded again. Linda's affection toward the host reached 100. To preserve the purity of the relationship and prevent betrayal, the target has now been permanently locked to the host. Affection can no longer decrease. I hurriedly got dressed and prepared to leave. Linda looked at me resentfully. You're just leaving like that? You jerk, are you seriously going to walk away after getting what you wanted? I looked genuinely confused. What else? Don't tell me you want to keep going. Linda looked horrified. No. Absolutely not. I meant, what are we now? Linda looked at me expectantly. I answered without hesitation. Boyfriend and girlfriend. What else would we be? Really? Baby, you're the best. Linda excitedly sat up, wrapped her arms around me, and kept kissing me. Of course, I'm a decent guy. I'd never do something like, get what I want, and then pretend I don't know you. The law only said you couldn't marry multiple people. As far as I knew, it never said you could only have one girlfriend. Linda clung to my arm and acted spoiled, and I felt my arm sink into something, soft and warm. Then swear you'll only love me. My heart stirred. I, Ethan, swear I'll only love Linda. Otherwise, every pack of instant noodles I eat will come without seasoning. Linda stared at me resentfully. What kind of oath is that? Then announce our relationship on social media. And you're not allowed to hide the post from anyone. Yeah, no. Swearing was one thing, but posting it publicly was out of the question. I rejected her firmly. No, baby please. Linda tightly grabbed my arm and pressed it against herself while gently twisting her body. Her voice became unbearably sweet. I just want your friends to know that we're together. I calmly pulled out my phone and skillfully opened the transfer screen. Be good, sweetheart. I'm sending you 5,000 yuan. Go shopping or get yourself something nice to eat. I have something to do, so I'm leaving first. Linda looked at the 5,200 yuan that had arrived and secretly lit up with joy. She shouted, Baby, when are we having our next tutoring session? We'll see. Wait for my call. Without waiting for her response, I turned around and ran. Seriously, I had been reborn. Of course I was going to live however I wanted. Nobody was going to tie me down. Linda collapsed back onto the bed, gritting her teeth as she watched me leave. She secretly swore she would figure out how to completely win this man over next time. Maybe she should prepare some special outfits. Linda was already becoming addicted to this feeling. Once I reached downstairs, I immediately returned the missed call. I definitely didn't want Claire worrying about me. Hello, Claire, what's wrong? I'm about to head home. Claire's gentle voice came through the phone. Nothing. I just wanted to ask Ethan. Are you coming home for dinner tonight? Yeah, I'll be back soon. Claire, remember to set out a pair of chopsticks for me. Come home soon. I'll be waiting for you. After hanging up, I silently asked, the beginner mission is finished. Are there any new missions? Main mission issued. Help the weak and promote kindness. Mission objective. Return to Carefree Media. And establish an influencer development division. Recruit one unfortunate young woman with an appearance rating of 95 or higher. Mission rewards. Tsundere translator, 1 million guaranteed real traffic vouchers. And a cash reward of 50 million yuan. Mission deadline, within 1 month of issuance. Tsundere translator automatically converts a woman's insincere or contrary statements into subtitles showing her true inner thoughts. Before I could think about it carefully, another system notification immediately followed. Side mission issued, the beginning of revenge. Mission objective, use any method the host prefers to take revenge on the school bully who tormented the host for 3 years. Mission reward, soul controlling pocket watch. Mission deadline, within 1 month of issuance. If that's soul controlling. Pocket watch really had the ability I was imagining. Then things would become much easier. A perfect plan to take revenge on Victor slowly formed in my mind. Near noon the next day, I was sleeping soundly when my phone suddenly rang. The moment I answered, someone immediately started questioning me. Ethan, why aren't you here yet? You're the only one missing. The class reunion is about to start. During the summer after freshman year, our class president, Ryan, had organized a class reunion. He figured everyone had gone nearly a year without seeing each other. So getting together would be a good way to reconnect and brag about how everyone was doing. I had completely forgotten about the reunion. I had actually been wondering how I should deal with that bastard school bully and that two-faced campus beauty. Well, perfect. They had delivered themselves right to me. I instantly became wide awake. After getting out of bed, I hurriedly washed up and was about to leave without even eating breakfast. Seeing how rushed I was, Claire asked curiously, "Ethan, what happened? Why are you in such a hurry? You're not eating breakfast?" "No. My class is having a reunion. That won't do. Skipping breakfast is bad for your stomach." As she spoke, Claire picked up a sandwich from the table. "Come on, be good." I had absolutely no resistance to Claire's gentle treatment, so I obediently opened my mouth, and to bite after bite of the sandwich, Claire personally fed me. As I ate, I mumbled through the food, "It's delicious." Claire smiled brightly and gently wiped the breadcrumbs from the corner of my mouth. "Slow down. Have some water so you don't choke." Hee. Thanks for feeding me, Claire." After drinking the water, warmth filled my chest. I put on my shoes and prepared to leave. But Claire stopped me. "Wait." She reached out and fixed my messy hair. "You can't go out looking this messy. You're an adult now. You still need to pay attention to your appearance, or girls might not like you." Looking at Claire's gentle expression, my heart nearly melted. I said seriously, "I don't need anyone else to like me, Claire. As long as you like me, that's enough." "Claire, I wish I could stay with you forever." Claire's beautiful face instantly turned bright red, and inside she was practically screaming. This kid is getting way too bold. What kind of thing is that to say? How could he say something that embarrassing? Then why did it make her heart feel so sweet? Am I losing my mind? Claire lowered her head, too embarrassed to answer directly, and hurriedly pushed me out the door. Go, hurry up and leave. On the way, I even stopped to buy a high-definition hidden camera. I had already figured out how I was going to get revenge on that school bully. As far as I knew, Blake came from a single-parent family, and his mother was a famous award-winning actress. I had seen some of her movies before. She was beautiful and carried herself with an icy elegance. A sinister smile crept across my face, making me look almost like some creepy pervert. Going after the son through his mother sounded perfectly reasonable, didn't it? Meanwhile, inside a private room at the restaurant, I smiled awkwardly. Traffic was bad. "Sorry I'm late, everyone." After saying that, I casually found an empty seat and sat down. My eyes swept across the man and woman sitting opposite me. The woman looked disgusted, while the man wore a smug expression. Rage instantly surged inside me. That muscular, arrogant-looking guy was Blake, the nightmare of my 3 years in high school. The woman beside him was Sophia, the same woman who later took money from Victor and used a setup to frame me and send me to prison. I still remembered it clearly. During winter break the following year, Sophia came looking for me and tearfully told me she had just been dumped. I secretly got excited, stupidly thinking my chance had finally come. But after spending the night together at a hotel, the police suddenly burst through the door. She turned around and accused me of taking advantage of her. Because of that false accusation, I spent 8 full years in prison. I forced down the rage in my chest and silently began calculating my revenge. View Sophia's information. Name, Sophia. Personality, worships violence. Interests, money. Affection, 7. Special trait, exceptional constitution. Value, 20x. Experience, 398 times. Marriages, 5. Current relationship status, single. Current situation, troubled over how to. Win over the wealthy student council president. Current mood, average. Current wish, to suddenly become rich. I almost laughed. I clearly remembered when that woman framed me in my previous life. There had even been blood on the sheets. Apparently, she had used some kind of cosmetic procedure to fake it. So she liked taking money in exchange for herself, huh? I knew a place perfectly suited for someone like that. I was already looking forward to sending her there. A mocking voice suddenly came from across the table. Well, if it isn't our famous top student, what a grand entrance, making everyone sit here waiting just for you. I looked up and saw Monkey, one of Blake's lackeys. Monkey glanced toward Blake, and after seeing Blake nod, he continued without restraint. "I heard you bombed the college entrance exam. What a shame. Your grades were always so good. How did you choke when it mattered most? I stared at him coldly, as if I were looking at a corpse. Monkey shuddered under my gaze, and involuntarily felt a chill run down his spine. The reason I had performed so badly was entirely because of Blake and the little gang that followed him. 2 days before the college entrance exam, the school being used as the testing center had already been closed off. So everyone had been sent home to study on their own, after school. Blake and his group surrounded me. After beating me up, they dragged me to the swimming facility and threw me into the pool. Those monsters wearing human faces forced me to stay in that freezing water for an entire hour. I had cried and begged them, asking why they were doing this to me, when I had never done anything to them. Their answer was simple, because it was fun. I tried to escape several times, but I couldn't fight off so many people at once. Every time they beat me down, they threw me straight back into the pool. That night, I came down with a severe fever, and it lasted for 5 full days. I had only recovered yesterday. I had taken the college entrance exam while burning with fever. Of course, my performance had suffered. But because I didn't want Claire to worry, I lied and told her I had accidentally fallen into the pool. At that moment, I could barely suppress my rage. I answered in an icy voice, "None of your damn business." Even if I had only taken one subject, my score would still be higher than your total, and that includes your precious boss, Blake. The moment those words came out, the entire room fell silent. Nobody had expected the boy they had bullied for 3 straight years to suddenly dare challenge them like this. Monkey froze at my response and thought to himself, this kid got into college and suddenly thinks he's tough? Looks like the last beating wasn't enough. Monkey came from an ordinary family and had been counting on continuing to extort protection money from me in college so he could live comfortably. The thought made him even angrier. He stood up, pointed at me, and cursed, "Ethan, what the hell? Watch your mouth. Who do you think you are? How dare you insult Blake? You must have a death wish." Before he even finished, Blake's other lackeys all stood up and began shouting, looking ready to start a fight at any second. "Ethan, did failing the exam make you lose your mind? Are you trying to die? Didn't you spend enough time in that freezing pool? A few days without a beating, and now you're getting cocky again. If you're looking for trouble, don't blame us. We'll take you to the restroom later and have a nice little talk." Our money-obsessed homeroom teacher simply kept sipping his drink, pretending not to see any of it. Blake slammed his palm against the table, sending soup splashing everywhere. He stood with a dark expression and glared viciously at me. "Ethan, you—" Blake had grown up surrounded by luxury, and no one had ever openly challenged him like this. His actress mother's constant indulgence had shaped his rotten personality. He didn't bully people for money. He did it purely for the thrill. Before he could finish speaking, I cut him off. "Shut the hell up, you idiot. You think slamming a table makes you intimidating?" Blake froze on the spot. No one had ever spoken to him like that before. He exploded with rage and violently flipped the table. "You're dead, thanks to the gene purification serum." My reaction speed was incredibly fast, and I dodged in time. The others weren't nearly as lucky. Food and soup splattered all over them. Everyone was furious, but none of them dared complain, because Blake's reputation spoke for itself. I smiled indifferently, then started walking toward the door. "If you've got the guts, follow me to the alley downstairs." The rest of the class stared in disbelief. Since when had Ethan become this fearless? Was he possessed or something? Did he hire some street thugs and plan to ambush Blake during the reunion? If so, Ethan was way too naive. Blake could make people like that disappear with a little cash. Blake was furious. "If you're looking to die, I'll gladly help you." He kicked aside a classmate who was blocking his path. He then stormed out with 3 of his lackeys, heading downstairs together. Sophia stood nearby, completely stunned. She never expected the pathetic guy who used to follow her around every day to suddenly become so aggressive. Wasn't he basically asking to get killed? If I had shown this kind of confidence earlier, maybe she actually would have given me a chance. Excited to watch the drama, she followed after them. The alley behind the restaurant usually had almost no foot traffic, but now a whole crowd had gathered there. Blake glared at me. "Ethan, do you seriously think that just because we graduated, I can't touch you anymore?" Don't forget our colleges aren't even that far apart. Blake's university really wasn't far from mine. His expression was so dark, it looked almost murderous. He gave me a humorless smile. With a little money, I can hire 7 or 8 street thugs to wait outside your campus every single day. You believe me? I shrugged casually. Really? I don't. Someone like you is a rich kid who already has everything. So why are you so obsessed with bullying an ordinary guy like me? The hidden camera I had brought was recording every word. Have luxury cars and yachts. And beautiful women stop satisfying you? Blake looked like he had just heard the most boring joke imaginable. He licked his lips. Luxury cars and women? Those are nothing but the most basic entertainment to me. The things poor losers like you dream about. I got bored of years ago. Compared to that weak stuff, things like killing people, kidnapping them, and torturing them, that's real excitement. A poor nobody like you could never understand how good it feels to beat someone down in real life, or even kill them. I suddenly asked, so you've killed someone before? Of course, Blake admitted it without the slightest hesitation. There was even pride on his face. The moment he said it, the air around us seemed to freeze. His 3 lackeys exchanged terrified looks, their eyes filled with fear. They followed Blake around and bullied people all the time, but murder was on a completely different level. A terrifying thought suddenly crossed all their minds. Was Blake going to silence them too? Sophia's face went deathly pale. Her legs gave out, and she collapsed to the ground. But Blake only became more excited as he kept talking. The corners of his mouth twisted into a sick smile. Doesn't matter if I tell you. Remember that poor kid who always dressed in cheap clothes and sat timidly in the corner? I remembered him. His name was Daniel. My brows tightened, and a cold glint flashed through my eyes. Daniel had been my only friend in high school. He disappeared during sophomore year of college while heading to his part-time job. By the time his body was found, he had already been dead for quite a while. The killer was supposedly a homeless man, who turned himself in a few days later. Blake's expression grew increasingly twisted. That broke loser was working as a waiter at a bar. I picked up his crappy watch to take a look, and he started whining beside me. I clenched my teeth so hard my jaw hurt. That watch had been the birthday gift I gave Daniel. Back when school first started, his mom had brought us a basket of fresh eggs from home, and handed them over with her rough, calloused hands, asking us to look after her son. Blake's expression twisted even further. You call a few worthless eggs motherly love? Haha, you know what? Even my dog wouldn't touch something that filthy. Tell me, didn't he deserve to die? People like him should rot in some backwater village, instead of polluting my sight. So I hung him up in a basement and whipped him with a barbed lash. Listening to him scream was incredible. Blake waved his arms excitedly, then mocked Daniel in a shrill voice. Please, I can't die yet. My mom is still waiting for me to come home for dinner. Then his mother actually dared come to the school looking for him, crying her eyes out. Blake's gaze turned sinister. So I spent a little money and hired a truck driver to run her over and crush her into the pavement. Pretty funny, isn't it? I forced 3 words through clenched teeth. Why did you? Blake tilted his head and laughed. Because it felt good, obviously. Oh, right. You were actually supposed to be the one tortured to death. Ethan. Blake seemed to remember something and smiled viciously, with obvious amusement. But when I went looking for you that day, I happened to run into him at the bar. Guess that was fate. Too bad he delivered himself to me first. Ha ha ha. Blake's 3 lackeys and Sophia all backed away in terror. My expression turned ice cold. Aren't you afraid of going to prison? Blake reacted as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. He bent over laughing. For something like that? Is it really that hard to spend a few $100,000 and buy a scapegoat? Poor people really are clueless. I took a deep breath and forced down the murderous rage inside me. One last question. Your mother is the actress Victoria Blake, right? Pride flashed through Blake's eyes. Jealous? Next life, make sure you're born into the right family. His crazed laughter echoed through the alley, sending chills down everyone's spine. Blake rolled his neck. I was going to let my little toy go, but since you came looking for trouble yourself, don't blame me for sending you to your grave. He waved his hand, and Monkey and the other 2 lackeys surrounded me with cruel grins. They immediately started punching and kicking me. What happened to all that confidence? Weren't you supposed to be tough? Why aren't you fighting back? Getting cocky again, huh? We should have broken your hands a long time ago. Then you wouldn't have taken any damn exam. Their fists rained down on my body. But to me, it felt no worse than being scratched. After all, this genetically enhanced body had already surpassed normal human limits. I deliberately let out a few screams, while sneering inwardly, "I'll give you 3 minutes. Hit me all you want. Then it'll be my turn." The hidden camera on my chest was recording everything to get the chance to deal with Blake's mother. I really was putting in a lot of effort. "Ma'am, you wouldn't want anyone else to see the video of your son bullying his classmates, would you?" 3 minutes passed. Monkey's fists had already turned bright red. He couldn't understand it. Why had my body suddenly become as hard as steel? If Blake hadn't been watching from the side, he would have stopped long ago. "Enough. Did the three of you skip breakfast or something? Get out of my way." Blake impatiently kicked Monkey aside, then raised his fist and smashed it toward my stomach. He froze as sharp pain exploded through his hand, as though he had punched a steel plate. I gave a half-hearted grunt, with a trace of blood at the corner of my smiling mouth. Enraged, Blake pulled out a butterfly knife and stabbed it viciously toward me. A crisp crack rang out. The blade snapped, yet I didn't have a scratch on me. The terrifying sight made his entire body tremble. He screamed hysterically. "What the hell are you?" His 3 lackeys and Sophia backed away in terror. I stood up and casually brushed the dust from my clothes, then stretched my muscles. Done playing, I rotated my wrist, then expressionlessly seized Blake's arm and twisted hard. The sound of his joint dislocating echoed sharply through the alley. Immediately afterward, I drove a straight kick into his stomach. Bang! Blake flew backward like a kite with its string cut and crashed several feet away. His body slammed heavily into the wall, leaving him dizzy with pain. A foul smell suddenly spread through the alley. Monkey stared at the scene in complete disbelief, his mind buzzing. Had Ethan been hiding his true strength this whole time? "Why don't you 3 enjoy flying too?" I kicked them one after another, and all 3 lackeys ended up piled on top of Blake like bowling pins. The repeated impacts knocked Blake unconscious on the spot. Sophia, standing nearby, went deathly pale. She forced herself to stay calm. "Don't you like me? I'll give you a chance to pursue me." Those words instantly ignited my rage. This shameless woman still had the nerve to disgust me. I slowly walked up to her and slapped her 3 times across the face. Sophia spun in place from the impact. Her pretty face immediately became red and swollen. I shook the makeup powder from my hand and stared coldly at her tear-streaked face. She had framed me for money and sent me to prison for 8 years. If I didn't make her pay today, I would never be able to release the hatred in my heart. I kicked her hard and sent her flying. If anyone thought I was going to let these people off that easily, they seriously underestimated me. This little bit of pain was nowhere near enough to ease my hatred. System. Redeem the bone-separating technique. It was a skill I had spent a long time choosing from the system shop, specifically so I could give these people an unforgettable experience for the rest of their lives. Redemption successful. Romance points 300. Current total 100. I walked toward Blake with a cold smile, kicked his lackeys off him, grabbed his collar with my left hand, and started slapping him repeatedly. The moment he opened his eyes and saw me, the arrogant bully everyone feared instantly turned into a terrified dog cornered against the wall. He stammered, "What do you want? You dare hit me? I'll call the police and have you arrested. My mom knows the police chief. Let me go right now, and I'll pretend none of this ever happened." I said nothing. I simply smiled at him. His attitude immediately softened. "Ethan, bro." I was wrong. "Tell me how much money you want. I'll give you anything." I kept smiling, as if I hadn't heard his begging at all. Blake completely broke down. A warm stain spread across his pants. "Ethan, please be the bigger man. Just treat me like garbage and let me go. I'm begging you." At that moment, he finally understood the fear felt by someone being bullied. I coldly said, "Who said I was going to kill you?" Blake looked as though he had just been granted a pardon. He repeatedly bowed his head. "Thank you, Ethan, thank you. I swear I'll become a better person from now on." That was what he said out loud. But inside, he was already planning his revenge. As long as he could get out of here, with his family's connections, someone as poor as me would be as easy to crush as an ant. He didn't know why. My body had become as hard as steel, but surely it couldn't stop a bullet. I suddenly burst into crazed laughter, laughing so hard I could barely stand straight. Blake felt a chill spread through his entire body. He wanted to run, but he couldn't move. My laughter suddenly stopped. I tapped several points across his body and activated the nerve and bone technique. A wave of unbearable pain instantly surged through him. Blake felt as though every bone and muscle in his body were being scraped repeatedly by steel needles, while ants seemed to crawl through his brain. He writhed helplessly on the ground, letting out agonized screams. I tore off a piece of his clothing and stuffed it into his mouth, then smiled gently. "Come on, classmate, get up. You're not allowed to sleep here." Wave after wave of pain tore through him. Blake felt like he was losing his mind. His muscles and bones felt like they were being torn apart and repaired over and over again. His features twisted in agony, and beads of cold sweat rolled down his face. Watching Blake writhe on the ground, I crouched beside him and patted him like I was comforting an old friend. Then I whispered, "Take a deep breath. The pain is perfectly normal. I'm going to go play a little game with your actress mom now." Blake could only make muffled cries. His body trembled violently as he desperately tried to shrink away from me. The most effective way to get revenge on a bully is to go after his mother. In my previous life, after school, Blake brought a group of people to corner me. After beating me up, they forcibly dragged me to the swimming facility and made me stay in the freezing pool for an entire day. That night, I came down with a severe fever. That lasted for 5 straight days. Back then, I didn't want Claire to worry about me, so I lied and said I had accidentally fallen into the pool. Now that I had been reborn, I was going to start with Blake's mother and make him taste despair for himself. At the entrance to the villa community, I asked the security guard to call Victoria. "Hello, there's a student here named Ethan. He says he came to pick up something Blake left at home. Blake can't get away right now, so he specifically asked Ethan to come get it." On the other end of the call, Victoria simply told the guard to bring me to her villa. When I reached the front door, I rang the doorbell. A cool, elegant woman with a slender waist and striking figure appeared before me. System, view Victoria's information. Name, Victoria Blake. Personality, cold and reserved. Dislikes men. Interests, acting. Reading. Affection, 30. Special trait, natural charmer. Value, 20x. Experience, 1 time. Marriages, 0. Relationship status, single. Current occupation, actress. Career has reached a bottleneck, and she is currently trying to reinvent herself. Current mood, frustrated. Current wish, she hopes that bastard Blake will go to college somewhere far away. Bastard, huh? Interesting. And her experience count was only 1. Looks like there was some secret here she didn't want anyone to know. Well, I happen to love secrets. I casually walked into the house and looked at the beautiful woman's graceful figure. I instinctively licked my lips. Victoria coldly invited me to sit down, and then instructed the housekeeper to bring over fresh fruit and delicate pastries. She really did deserve her reputation as one of China's most famous ice-cold actresses. Her aloof, elegant presence and flawless features made it difficult to even think anything vulgar about her. She wore a simple dress, with the neckline slightly open, revealing a small patch of smooth, flawless skin, while her long, straight legs were visible beneath the hem. Blake's room is upstairs. Whatever you need, just go get it. I peeled an orange from the table and slowly put a slice into my mouth. Actually, I'm not here to pick anything up. I came here for you. Victoria's voice turned ice cold. She shot back without hesitation. "For me? Do I even know you?" I casually played with the orange in my hand and said with a lazy smile, "Doesn't matter if you don't know me yet. Over the next few hours, I'll make sure you get to know me very well." Victoria's affection toward the host 220. Current affection 10. Host, please watch your words and behavior. Victoria crossed her arms over her chest, her face filled with caution. She said coldly, "Disgusting brat. Get out. Men really are all the same. Absolutely disgusting." I smiled and remained seated on the couch, with absolutely no intention of moving. Victoria glared at me. "I'm counting to 3. If you're not gone by then, I'm calling security. 3, 2, 1. The moment she finished, she immediately picked up her phone and prepared to call someone. No need to be in such a hurry. I opened a video and held my phone out to Victoria. Watch this first. You can decide what to do after you've seen it. Victoria took the phone with a dark expression. It was a 3-minute video. Videos. Thumbnail showed Blake's vicious face. Victoria's affection toward the host 2. Current affection 8. Host. Please watch your words and behavior. Dia. Victoria's heart skipped a beat, and an ominous feeling rose inside her. That bastard. Had he done something horrible again? Her fingers trembled slightly, and she was almost afraid to press play. The truth was, she knew that, over the years, Blake had done plenty of unforgivable things. Whenever she saw the miserable condition of his victims, she had even considered killing that bastard herself, but she couldn't do it. Not because Blake was her son, but because if any of those crimes were ever exposed, her entire career would be destroyed. She had no choice but to clean up Blake's messes again and again. Victoria took a deep breath and finally gathered the courage to play the video. It began in a filthy alley covered in trash. Then Blake appeared on screen. Ethan, do you seriously think that just because we graduated, I can't touch you anymore? With a little money, I can easily hire 7 or 8 thugs to wait for you outside campus every day. You believe me? Victoria suddenly looked up, her usually calm, icy face finally showed genuine shock. She immediately paused the video, then called toward the housekeeper working in the kitchen. Lisa, you can go home for today. After that, she turned toward me, who remained completely calm. She forced herself to stay composed and asked, Tell me, how much money do you want? I scoffed and slowly peeled another piece of orange. A crazed smile curled across my lips. You rich people really are interesting. I don't want money. Keep watching. There are still some surprises left. Curious affection toward the host 5. Current affection 3. Host. Please watch your words and behavior. Victoria stared at the demonic smile on my face and felt a chill run through her. Suppressing her fear, she looked back down at the phone. Someone like you is a rich kid with everything. So why do you insist on bullying an ordinary person like me? Luxury cars and beautiful women? Haha, those are nothing but the most basic entertainment. The things poor losers like you dream about. I got bored of long ago. Blake looked unbearably arrogant in the video, his face filled with contempt for ordinary people. Compared to that weak stuff, killing people, kidnapping them, and torturing them. That's what real excitement feels like. Victoria's brows drew tightly together, and the ominous feeling in her heart grew stronger. So, you've killed someone before? Of course, Blake licked his lips, his entire body trembling slightly with excitement. Doesn't matter if I tell you. Do you remember Daniel? The one who always sat in the corner, wearing cheap clothes like some pathetic little pet? He killed him. Victoria's breathing suddenly stopped. She knew that poor boy. That night, rain had poured from the sky, and inside the basement, when she saw his mangled body, she had vomited uncontrollably on the spot. But compared with the career she had worked so hard to build, that little bit of sympathy had long since been swallowed by the darkness of that rainy night. She paid someone to take the blame, and buried the entire crime beneath the storm. She never expected retribution to arrive this quickly. In the video, Blake looked completely insane, waving his arms around excitedly. Outside the video, Victoria's knuckles had turned white from how tightly she was gripping the phone. Her beautiful oval face had completely lost its color. She looked as if her soul had been ripped from her body. I dragged him into my basement and hung him up. Then I took a barbed whip and lashed him again and again, listening to him scream his lungs out. Do you have any idea how incredible that felt? Victoria covered her eyes in agony. Tears poured down like a broken dam, streaming endlessly between her fingers. Her entire body trembled violently, and her chest rose and fell with every ragged breath. I watched her with a mocking smile, my eyes filled with coldness and hatred. What happened? Weren't you going to call security? Go ahead, keep putting on your show. Victoria turned toward me. Her normally cold, elegant face was now streaked with tears, giving her a fragile, broken appearance. Her eyes were red, and her chest rose and fell. She looked painfully vulnerable. Anyone else probably would have wanted to comfort her. She really was an award-winning actress. Jisk, tisk, that performance actually made me laugh. And the more I laughed, the louder it became. Victoria parted her red lips and stared blankly at The man in front of her who had suddenly burst into crazed laughter. I'm already crying. And instead of comforting me, he's actually laughing this loudly? She was starting to doubt herself. Could this act really have no effect on this man? My laughter suddenly stopped. My eyes turned bloodshot, like a wild beast ready to pounce at any moment. I suddenly leaned in close to Victoria and gently ran my fingers through her silky hair. Then I leaned beside her ear and whispered softly, I still prefer that defiant look you had earlier. Why don't you bring it back? Victoria's already stiff body suddenly trembled. She had already braced herself for me to take advantage of her. But instead, I said something completely unexpected. I laughed and stepped back. Keep watching. The best part is still coming. Victoria's affection toward the host 20. Current affection 17. Host, please watch your words and behavior. Why? Because it felt good, obviously. Aren't you afraid of going to prison? Gahaha. In the video, Blake looked like he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. He laughed so hard he could barely stand straight. Poor people really are clueless. Is it really that hard to spend a few $100,000 and buy a scapegoat? Haha. I have one last question. Your mom is the famous actress Victoria Blake, right? Yeah, haha. What? Jealous? Next life, make sure you're born into the right family. Victoria's body trembled uncontrollably. She couldn't bear to watch any further, and quickly paused the video. She knew there was no way today's situation would end peacefully. What exactly do you want? Just say it. How much money? Name your price. She gritted her teeth and forced herself to remain calm. Before long, she had returned to that cold, untouchable appearance of hers. As far as she was concerned, everyone loved money. It was only a matter of how much. I raised an eyebrow and grinned. Tisk, tisk. There you go again. I believe I already told you. I don't want money. Victoria immediately offered $10 million. I still wore that casual, teasing expression, while my eyes openly wandered over her impressive figure. Victoria took a deep breath and raised her voice. $30 million. That's enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your life. Don't push your luck. Blake himself meant almost nothing to her. What mattered was the acting career she was so proud of. If all these filthy secrets were exposed, her career would definitely be finished. A wicked smile curled across my lips, and I couldn't resist teasing her. 30 million? I'm still young. How could 30 million possibly be enough? How about 300 million? 300 million should last me a lifetime. Victoria's affection toward the host 20. Current affection 37. Host, please watch your words and behavior. You're going too far. Victoria shot to her feet. Her face was filled with rage, and she glared at me. At worst, I'll just let that bastard go to prison. I don't care about him nearly as much as you think. When she was young, Victoria had been exploited by a powerful director, perhaps because of the hormones during pregnancy. She ultimately chose not to terminate the pregnancy, but after giving birth, she regretted it. When Blake was young, she left him to be raised by her own mother. She had never developed much affection for him. I immediately saw through Victoria's thoughts. Of course I know you don't care about him. The only thing you care about is your career. Victoria's beautiful eyes widened, and a chill shot up her back. Her mind instantly went blank. How did he know? Ma'am, why don't we imagine something together? I stepped forward and suddenly wrapped an arm around Victoria, then whispered beside her ear, what do you think would happen if I uploaded this video to the internet? Victoria's face instantly turned deathly pale. If this video reached the internet with information this explosive, it could hit the trending charts almost instantly. Then the career she was so proud of could collapse within a matter of days. Impossible, Victoria blurted out. You seriously underestimate entertainment industry PR. I have 10,000 ways to get your video taken down. I gently patted her back, as if I were comforting a child. Why don't you guess how much money I have? Search Carefree Media and see who the company's largest shareholder is. Still skeptical, Victoria took out her phone and searched. Her expression became even worse when she saw the result. The devil standing in front of her was actually the largest shareholder of Carefree Media, with a net worth of several hundred million. You're the professional here, so tell me, if I spend 100 million, can I make this video so famous that everyone sees it? You're insane. It's Victoria felt her scalp go numb. He truly couldn't imagine. Someone being willing to spend 100 million just to destroy her. What could possibly be worth that? Was it because of her body? She was certainly confident in her appearance, but not arrogant enough to believe her body was worth 100 million. She had no cards left to play. After struggling internally for a long time, she finally gave in. You win, 300 million. Give me 1 month, even if I have to sell everything I own. I'll get the money for you. Ma'am, I'm pretty sure I've told you several times already. I don't want money. Victoria suddenly turned toward me and stared at the man beside her wearing a sinister smile. A chill spread through her entire body. 300 million, and he still didn't want it. What the hell did this lunatic actually want? Fear completely took over her mind. Her voice trembled badly. Why you? You? What exactly do you want? Revenge, of course. Money means nothing to me. And neither do you, Victoria. What matters is making Blake experience the cruelest pain imaginable. High EQ choice assist activated. Option 1. Act like a pervert. We've talked this much already. Shouldn't you show me some sincerity? Option 2. Say casually, 500 each time. How many times would it take to reach 300 million? You can calculate it yourself. I'm too lazy. Option 3. Act like a hopeless admirer. Goddess. You're my goddess. I don't want anything from you. I only want to quietly protect you. A smile curled across my lips. We've talked this much already. Shouldn't you show me something so I can see how sincere you are? Bands, points, PS, 100. Current total, 200. Victoria's affection toward the host, 5. Current affection, 42. Host, please watch your words and behavior. Victoria was both humiliated and furious, but at this point she had no other choice. Half an hour later, Victoria's affection toward the host, +2. Current affection, 40. Keep it up. Victoria looked completely drained. She bent over and clung tightly to the trash can. As nausea kept rising in her throat, she dry heaved repeatedly, looking utterly miserable. Meanwhile, I lounged comfortably across the couch, with a relaxed smile on my face, as though nothing had happened. It took Victoria a long time to recover. Her eyes were red as she shouted at me. Are you satisfied now? Delete the video. This ends here. The corner of my mouth lifted, and I replied casually, Ma'am, aren't you being a little naive? You didn't seriously think that was the end, did you? Victoria's affection toward the host, 5. Current affection, 45. Host, please watch your words and behavior. Victoria's heart sank when she heard that. She realized things were nowhere near that simple. Even her voice trembled. What do you mean? I looked at her as though the answer were obvious. That was 300 million. Do you really think you're worth that much? Then what do you want? Victoria's eyes widened, and her chest rose and fell sharply. She was furious. I'll count what you just did as worth 200 yuan. So right now, you still owe me 299,998 yuan. I wore a wicked grin. 200 yuan. Victoria was furious and humiliated. Her entire face turned bright red. Without another word, she lunged at me, pinning herself against me while scratching and clawing, like an enraged tigress. Of course, I wasn't going to let her do whatever she wanted. I caught both of her wrists, and with barely any effort, pinned her against the coffee table. Then I casually lifted her chin, with a wicked smile. You just hit me. That's another 200 yuan fine. Ario. Now you owe me the full 300 million again. Tears filled Victoria's eyes. She was furious and desperate. Don't go too far. Are you even a man? Why are you bullying a helpless woman like me? High EQ choice assist activated. Option 1, lick your lips and grin. Ma'am, you wouldn't want that video uploaded to the internet, would you? Option 2, say casually, Ma'am, do you think your mouth is made of gold? 200 yuan was already the friends and family price for someone like you. 10 yuan is already more than enough. Option 3, act like a devoted admirer. I went too far. Forget the 300 million. I'll even give you another 300 million. Looking at Victoria's embarrassed and furious expression, my appetite suddenly grew. So I teased her, Mom, you wouldn't want that video uploaded online, would you? WAB. Romance points +100. Current total 300. Victoria's affection toward the host, 1. Current affection, 46. Victoria was both furious and humiliated. She turned her head away, refusing to meet my gaze. Her body kept twisting as she tried to break free. But I was simply too strong. After struggling for a while, she finally gave up. She closed her eyes, looking as though she had resigned herself to whatever happened. Ma'am, don't stop. The more you struggle, the more excited I get. My voice was low and hoarse, carrying a trace of wickedness. Victoria completely lost her composure, her face turning bright red. She cursed angrily. Don't push your luck, you bastard. What the hell do you actually want? Seeing her like this, I stopped wasting words. 3. Victoria struggled symbolically a few more times, before finally giving up, resisting. Victoria's affection toward the host, 2. Current affection, 48. Host, please watch your words and behavior. Victoria's affection toward the host, plus 20. Current affection, 28. Keep it up. Victoria collapsed weakly to the side. Her eyes were empty, as though she had lost her soul. Her messy hair hung around both sides of her face, and sweat had soaked the strands across her forehead. Looking at her, a wicked smile curled across my lips. I pulled out my phone and opened my chat with Blake. Location, via number 7, Fairview Heights, Riverdale. Very nice. After sending the message, I started a video call. As the effects of the bone-separating technique finally ended, Blake gradually regained awareness. He yanked the torn cloth from his mouth and gasped desperately for air. He couldn't believe how he had survived those 6 hours. The pain had been worse than any punishment in hell. An untimely ringtone suddenly sounded. He pulled out his phone and saw that Ethan was calling him on video. Blake's heart trembled. He suddenly remembered what I had said before leaving, and an ominous feeling immediately filled his chest. Blake took a deep breath, then tapped accept with trembling fingers. The moment the call connected, my hateful face appeared on screen. Behind me was a luxurious wall. Blake's pupils suddenly contracted. Wasn't that his living room? Someone had gotten into his house. I grinned wickedly. Guess where I am? Before Blake could get a better look, the call ended. Staring at the dark phone screen, Blake's face shifted between pale and flushed. His expression twisted painfully. No, impossible. Mom would never agree to this. He's insane. He frantically called Victoria, while repeatedly muttering, impossible, impossible, over and over again. The person you are calling is temporarily unavailable. Please try again later. Clinging to a trace of hope, Blake kept calling. Finally, after the phone rang more than a dozen times, someone answered. Hello, Mom. What are you doing? Nothing. I'm busy. Busy doing what? I said, it's nothing. Blake could hear Victoria's voice trembling slightly, and her tone sounded completely wrong. He realized something was off. Blake roared furiously. What the hell are you doing? What's that sound over there? Victoria's impatient voice came through the phone. None of your business. Stay out of adult matters. I'm busy. Blake's expression changed. A possibility suddenly crossed his mind. All right, I don't have time for this. I'm hanging up. Wait, you don't. Just as Blake tried to stop her from hanging up, Victoria's anguished voice suddenly came through the phone. Then the call ended. Blake's expression twisted grotesquely. His bloodshot eyes opened wide. He kept muttering, You're dead. You two bastards. I'm going to kill you. He pressed his entire face against the phone screen, as if he wanted to crawl through it. The phone rang again. This time, I called him by voice. Blake trembled all over, as though he had seen something terrifying. He gritted his teeth, and after hesitating for a long time, finally answered. Ma'am, you really don't seem to care much about your son. Is he actually your biological child? Blake's body jolted. He had never experienced much motherly love growing up, and had often wondered whether he had been adopted. None of your business. Wow, you're still acting tough. Another anguished sound came through the phone. Blake's twisted expression shifted between pale and red. Talk properly. Don't mess with me. Is he really your biological son? Blake was overjoyed. At least now he knew he truly had a mother. Then why do you seem like you barely care about him? Compared to him, my career matters much more. Come on, tell me. What are you hiding? You're a grown man. Why are you so damn nosy? A continuous series of sounds came through the phone. Blake threw his head back and roared, This is too much. Tell me already? Fine. It was more than 10 years ago. I had just entered the industry. My manager took me to a private banquet. The other party was an investor. I took one sip of wine and blacked out. I knew afterward that I had been assaulted. But I was just a rural girl with no power or connections in the city. What could I possibly do? A few months later, I went to the hospital for a checkup and found out I was pregnant. Maybe because of my body. I barely showed and had almost no obvious symptoms. I wanted to terminate the pregnancy, but the doctor said it was already too late, and forcing the procedure could put my life at risk. I didn't dare tell my parents, and I didn't dare go home. Otherwise, everyone there would have called me shameless. I had no choice but to give birth to him. That child ruined my life. Countless times, I wanted to strangle him, but I still couldn't bring myself to do it, so I left him with my mother to raise. That's all there is to it. Blake stood there in a daze, feeling cold from head to toe, the moment he heard the word bastard. Something inside him completely died. A raging fire of hatred burned inside his chest. Ha ha ha! His eyes filled with blood, and his expression twisted hideously. He gritted his teeth. You two bastards. I'm going to kill both of you. He picked up the butterfly knife from the ground and staggered toward the mouth of the alley. But the bone-separating technique had been too powerful, and his legs still had almost no feeling. He collapsed heavily onto the ground, unable to stand. The voices continued coming from his phone. I didn't expect you to have gone through something like that. Don't worry. I'll take good care of you from now on. No. Victoria's anguished voice echoed in Blake's ears, eyes, and through the empty alley. He grabbed the phone and tried to smash it, but his arms still hadn't fully recovered, so he only managed to throw it several feet away. Yet the sound kept echoing. 3 hours later, Victoria's affection toward the host plus 40. Current affection, 12. Keep it up. Victoria lay weakly in my arms, breathing heavily. After finally catching her breath, she looked at me and said, "Are you satisfied now? Give me the video." What video? I have no idea what you're talking about. What do you mean? Victoria suddenly sat upright. You bastard. Now you're pretending you don't know? What kind of man are you? High EQ choice assist activated. Option 1, lick your lips and grin. Ma'am, I could hold this secret over you for the rest of your life. Option 2, say casually, 1,000 each time. Those 2 times count as 2,000 paid back. So you still owe me 299,998,000. Option 3, act like a devoted admirer. Here, I'll give you the video. I only ask that you let me be your devoted little puppy. A smile curled across my lips, under Victoria's disbelieving gaze. I quickly kissed her on the lips. Victoria's affection toward the host plus 3. Current affection, 15. Keep it up. I gently caressed her beautiful face. Ma'am, I'm going to hold this secret over you for the rest of your life. Romance points plus 100. Current total, 400. Victoria's affection toward the host plus 10. Current affection, 25. Keep it up. Tisk. Women really never say what they mean. Congratulations, host. Beginner mission completed. The beginning of revenge reward has been delivered. Soul Control Pocket Watch. Soul Control Pocket Watch, a mysterious artifact from the Celestial Empire. It can control ordinary people. Once given an order, the controlled target will carry it out without hesitation. Unless the host is the control. The controlled state cannot be broken. Listening to the cold, mechanical voice in my head, I was overjoyed. I had thought I would need to kill Blake. Before this mission could be completed, I never expected that humiliating him would be enough to finish it. Still, Blake had to go. I was going to personally put an end to his life. Looking at the ancient pocket watch in my hand, a wicked smile curled across my lips. A brilliant idea suddenly came to mind. I could use the Soul Control Pocket Watch to control a few random thugs, and have them kill Blake and the others for me. That would also let me test how well the watch worked. That night, in a dark alley, 3 burly men with vicious-looking faces had surrounded a young woman who was small and slender and trembling uncontrollably. Tears glistened on her cheeks, while both hands tightly protected the backpack in her arms. The leader had dyed yellow hair. Little girl, hand over your money if you know what's good for you. Don't make us use force. I really don't have any money. The girl's voice trembled as she fought back tears. Her petite body desperately shrank backward, until her back pressed against the cold, damp wall. Her eyes were filled with fear and pleading. No money? The bald thug beside him sneered. His thick hand shot out like a clamp and grabbed the girl by the collar, yanking her toward him with a body like yours. Tesk, you can always have some fun with us instead. Don't touch me. The girl screamed in terror, kicking wildly in the air as she tried to break free from the bald man's grip. Hey, still trying to fight back? The third thug stepped forward. He raised his fist and prepared to strike the girl while cursing angrily. You had your chance to cooperate. Now we're going to teach you a lesson. Help! Somebody help me! The girl shut her eyes in despair as she screamed. A cold voice suddenly echoed through the alley. My real targets were those 3 thugs. After all, murder was illegal. Instead of wasting time carefully planning everything myself, I might as well find a few criminals and let them tear each other apart. Let the girl go. Come at me instead. Emma's affection toward the host +10. Current affection, 50. Keep it up. The scar-faced thug roared, Who the hell are you? You dare ruin our fun? The bald man licked his lips and looked me up and down with narrow, suggestive eyes. Boss, this kid's pretty good looking. How about leaving him to me? Boss, you know, that's what I'm into. Yellowhair shrugged. Whatever you want. Hearing that, the bald man released the girl and grinned as he turned toward me. Kid, I suggest you don't bother resisting. You'll only get yourself hurt. Just surrender and behave yourself later. He swung both fists, looking fierce on the surface, but his movements were completely untrained. He was nothing but empty intimidation. A wave of disgust washed over me. I shifted lightly to the side, easily avoiding the bald man's attack. Then I spun around with a kick and struck the back of his head. His vision instantly went black, and he collapsed to the ground with a thud, unable to get back up. His head rang violently, and the whole world seemed to spin around him. The scar-faced thug froze for a second, clearly not expecting me to be this strong. With a roar, he swung his fist at me. I calmly stepped aside, caught his wrist, and twisted hard. Crack! Scarface screamed like a slaughtered pig. His arm dropped limply at his side. Cold sweat poured down his face as large beads rolled down his skin. His eyes were filled with pain and fear. The girl looked like a frightened little rabbit. As she hurriedly hid behind me, her large eyes blinked rapidly, filled with admiration and gratitude. Her cheeks turned pink. Thank you for saving me. I glanced at the girl, and my cold expression softened slightly. Go home, and don't walk through alleys like this alone again. Although she was still frightened, she didn't want to abandon the person who had saved her. She hesitated. But what about you? I shook my head. I'll be fine. You go first. I hadn't come here just to play hero, and I didn't have time to babysit some little girl. Emma's affection toward the host +10. Current affection, 60. Keep it up. The girl obediently nodded, then turned and hurried away. Before leaving, she looked back at me, with obvious reluctance in her eyes. After the girl disappeared, Yellowhair forced a tough expression and said, Bro, there's no need to take this so far, right? Who the hell is your bro? I flashed forward, appearing in front of Yellowhair like a ghost. Then I drove a heavy punch, straight into his fat stomach. His eyes nearly bulged out of their sockets, looking at the 3 thugs rolling around and groaning on the ground. I nodded in satisfaction. Then I pulled a pocket watch from my pocket and walked over to the 3 thugs still groaning on the ground. I crouched down and gently swung the pocket watch in front of their eyes, while quietly repeating the command. For long, all 3 thugs' eyes became empty and lifeless. Even the pain in their bodies seemed to vanish. They stood up, and a sinister gleam flashed through their eyes. I pulled out my phone and found a private photo of Blake, then handed it to them before coming here. I'd already gone back to check the alley behind the restaurant. Blake, his 3 lackeys, and Sophia were all still there. The bone separating technique had worked surprisingly well. Although the pain had already faded, they looked as if every ounce of strength had been drained from them. They could barely even stand. There was no way they would leave for several more hours. Go to the alley behind Fulton Restaurant and kill the 4 men in this photo. Don't touch the woman. Afterward, turn yourselves in. I wasn't killing Sophia because I had a much better way to make her suffer. The 3 men answered in unison. Looking almost like robots, I returned to Fulton Restaurant and went straight to a private room on the 2nd floor. I sat beside the window, ordered a few dishes, and a pot of wine, then quietly waited for the show to begin. Downstairs, Blake and the other four seemed to have recovered, somewhat, and could barely move. They supported each other as they slowly left the alley. Sophia's face was badly swollen, and her carefully applied makeup had been ruined by sweat. She mumbled through swollen lips, "That bastard Ethan. I even gave him a chance to pursue me, and he still hit me that hard." And Monkey looked toward the dazed Blake. "Tomorrow, I'm definitely going to make that bastard Ethan pay." "Right, boss?" Blake silently kept walking, without answering. "Boss, what's wrong? Do you need to go to the hospital?" "B boss." Before Monkey could finish, the sound of chaotic footsteps came from the entrance to the alley. Blake and the others looked over and saw 3 furious-looking thugs standing at the entrance. One of them held a knife and looked as though he had just found the man who murdered his father. They charged straight toward the group. Monkey backed away trembling. "Who are you people?" Blake finally snapped back to reality. He forced himself to remain calm and shouted, "What do you want?" The thugs rushed at them without saying a word. Blake was startled and stumbled backward several steps. His face instantly turned deathly pale, and his eyes filled with terror. Yellow Hair charged straight at Blake and wrapped both hands around his throat, squeezing tighter and tighter. Blake's eyes widened, his face filled with terror. He desperately clawed at the thug's hands and gasped, "Help!" His feet kicked wildly against the ground as he desperately tried to break free. But his body had only just begun to recover. He couldn't use much strength at all. Scarface and the bald thug were already brawling with Monkey and the others. For a moment, fists and kicks flew everywhere in the alley, while screams rang out nonstop. One of Blake's lackeys took a punch straight to the face. Blood immediately gushed from his nose. He screamed, covered his nose, and collapsed to the ground, full and around in pain. Monkey tried to run, but one of the thugs kicked him in the backside, sending him crashing face first onto the ground. He couldn't get back up for quite a while. Sophia was so terrified that all the color drained from her face. Her legs went weak, and she collapsed directly onto the ground. A yellow liquid uncontrollably soaked through her skirt. Her hands flailed wildly as she screamed in terror, "Don't kill me. Please don't kill me." Just then, Blake somehow found a burst of strength and forcefully broke free from Yellow Hair's grip. He happened to look up and immediately spotted me, sitting leisurely beside the second-floor window, sipping wine. At that moment, endless fury exploded in his eyes. This was the same pathetic loser he had casually bullied only days ago. How had I changed this much? Blake stumbled and fell to the ground. Then he desperately begged, "Guys, please, spare my life. Whatever Ethan paid you, I'll give you 10 times as much." Yellow Hair said nothing. He merely sneered and continued approaching, looking at Blake as if he were staring at the man who murdered his family. "Bro, how about 1 million? Just spare my life. I'm begging you. 5 million. 5 million. You can do whatever you want with those 4. Just let me go. I'll transfer the 5 million to your account today." Blake's face was covered in blood as he begged with tears and snot running down his face. He looked more pathetic than ever. Monkey, who was still being beaten nearby, ignored his own serious injuries and threw himself at Blake. "Blake, you selfish bastard. If it weren't for you, how would I have ended up like this? And now you're trying to sacrifice me? I'll kill you." Blake flew into a rage and kicked Monkey away. Monkey flew backward like a kite with its string cut. The back of his head smashed hard against the concrete. His body twitched a few times, then went still. "Your worthless life isn't worth a damn. Who do you think you are? Putting yourself on the same level as me?" Blake hadn't even been arrogant for 2 seconds when he saw Yellow Hair charging toward him and instantly started begging again. "Bro, 10 million. 10 million. That's enough for you to live comfortably forever." But Yellow Hair remained completely unmoved. His face still carried the same expression of murderous hatred. Blake completely lost hope. He screamed at the top of his lungs, "Ethan, you'll die a horrible death. Someone save me. Ethan is the one trying to kill me." He truly couldn't understand why the money trick that had always worked before was completely useless today. These three thugs looked possessed. They didn't say a single word, and every attack was aimed to kill. Watching the chaos below, the corners of my mouth slowly lifted. I raised my wineglass and took a small sip, seeing the once arrogant Blake, now struggling on the edge of death, finally eased a small part of the hatred inside me. Before long, the sounds of fighting gradually faded. Blake and his three lackeys were scattered across the ground, completely motionless. Sophia sat paralyzed on the ground. Her eyes were empty, and she was still trapped in overwhelming terror. Her entire body kept trembling, while her teeth chattered uncontrollably. Blake was barely clinging to life. His eyes were wide open, staring straight at me on the second floor, filled with resentment and unwillingness. Yet there was absolutely nothing he could do. After the three thugs completed their mission, they brushed the dust from their clothes and started walking toward the police station. Side mission issued. Mission name: who would joke about their own innocence? Mission objective: use any method the host prefers to take revenge on the campus beauty who framed the host and caused 8 years of imprisonment. Mission reward: Super Dragon card. Mission deadline: within 1 month of issuance. The Super Dragon card is a special reward item. After use, the host may select any woman whose affection level is above 20 and temporarily transform her into a dragon with unlimited health. The effect lasts for 24 hours. As the hero, the host must defeat the dragon and land critical hits to receive large cash rewards, while also making affection easier to increase. Critical hits against the selected woman. A meaningful smile appeared on my face. Who should I use this card on? After paying the bill, I slowly walked out of the restaurant and came to Sophia. The sudden shadow appearing in front of her scared Sophia out of her mind. She nearly lost control from fear and scrambled backward using both hands and feet while screaming wildly, "No, don't come any closer. Please, don't kill me." I casually played with the Soul Control pocket watch in my hand and looked at her with a sinister smile. "Ms. Sophia, have you already forgotten? The devoted admirer who used to follow you around every day." Hearing the familiar voice, Sophia's eyes gradually cleared. She looked like she had just grabbed onto a lifeline and cried out excitedly, "Ethan!" Immediately afterwards, she put on a tearful, pitiful expression, though her swollen cheek made the whole performance look ridiculous. Who had hit her hard enough to make her face swell like that? How could anyone bully our precious campus beauty? "Ethan, you're finally here. Save me. I'll agree to anything you want." The moment she finished speaking, Sophia lunged toward me like a starving tiger, trying to throw herself into my arms, even though I had seen plenty of dramatic scenes. The sight in front of me still made my face turn green. In that split second, I lifted my leg and kicked. Sophia let out a miserable scream. She was completely stunned. She had already put on such a pitiful and helpless expression. And not only was I unmoved, I had actually kicked her. Normally, all those simps and backup admirers around her would have been tripping over themselves to rush over and comfort her. Forget it. She had no choice but to lower her head for now. Sophia had a terrifying suspicion that I was the one who hired those three thugs to kill Blake and the others. Just thinking about it made her entire body tremble. She truly didn't want to die. There were still so many fresh new admirers waiting for her in college. How could she possibly die here? Those three thugs had killed only Blake and the other three men, while completely ignoring her. Didn't that already explain everything? Yes, exactly. It had to be, because I still liked her, and if I spared her, she was willing to give me a chance. Ethan, Sophia, stood up, aggravating her injuries, and grimaced in pain. But she forced herself to endure it, staggered toward me. "Ethan, I know you're still angry, but I've actually liked you since freshman year of high school. The only reason I never accepted you was because my family was extremely strict. They didn't allow me to date in high school, and they also wouldn't allow me to do anything before marriage." I rolled my eyes and stared speechlessly at Sophia. She really had no shame left whatsoever. Sophia actually had the nerve to claim she was still inexperienced. "Ethan, I only realized today how much I love you. I'm willing to be your girlfriend, your wife, whatever you want. I can give you the most precious thing I have right now." Sophia looked at me with tear-filled eyes, putting on a pure and innocent appearance. Her words thoroughly disgusted me. My stomach churned, and I couldn't help vomiting directly onto Sophia. Sophia stood there completely stunned, while rage and hatred surged inside her. She had lived this long, and every man around her had always showered her with concern, running around doing whatever she wanted. When had she ever suffered humiliation like this? But for the sake of staying alive, Sophia forced down her disgust and put on a concerned expression. "Ethan, what's wrong? Let me help you feel better." "No, don't come near me." I raised my hand and stopped Sophia from doing anything dangerous. "Enough nonsense. I still have to go home for dinner. Let's start now." Right now?" Sophia stared at me in disbelief, even though she had spent years playing with men's feelings. She had only done it a handful of times out in the open air, especially not somewhere this filthy and disgusting, let alone at a terrifying murder scene like this. "Isn't this a little inappropriate?" Sophia took a deep breath and forced a smile. How about we go to my place? No one's home." "Why are you talking so much? What difference does the location make?" I looked impatient. I still have to go home and have dinner with Claire. But there's trash and dirty water everywhere here. And there are even bodies. Someone might be secretly watching us too. "Please, let's go to my place," Sophia pleaded desperately. I glared at her fiercely. My patience had completely run out. "Then why don't you just die? I don't have time to deal with you." Hearing that, Sophia immediately shook her head in terror. No, I'll do it." Sophia lowered her head and silently began undoing the buttons on her blouse, one by one. I held the Soul Control pocket watch in my hand and frowned, looking at Sophia with obvious disgust. "What are you doing? You're already a wreck and you're still trying to act innocent?" Sophia nervously clutched the hem of her shirt and said shyly, "Of course I'm giving you the most precious thing I have. Do you seriously think I'm an idiot?" I flew into a rage and slapped her hard across the face. "You're already a wreck, so stop pretending to be pure." Sophia collapsed to the ground, holding her even more swollen cheek. She looked at me in disbelief and demanded, "What do you mean? Do you not understand plain English? I said you're nothing but a worn-out player." Still feeling unsatisfied, I backhanded her across the face again. "Don't you know exactly what kind of person you are?" Sophia's head rang from the blows, and she immediately burst into tears. Her crying quickly became unbearable, so I gave her another slap. "Quiet." Sophia instantly stopped crying. She only dared lower her head and sob quietly. I took out the Soul Control pocket watch and said with disgust, "Raise your head and look at me." Sophia tremblingly raised her head. Her heart was filled with fear. I crouched down in front of her, wearing a sinister smile, while holding the ancient-looking pocket watch in my hand. Sophia stared blankly at the strange object in front of her, completely unable to understand what it was. My eyes shifted thoughtfully. Maybe letting her learn the truth before controlling her would make the fear even sweeter. I licked my lips and slowly said, "This is a magical little toy I happened to find. Do you know what it does?" No. Sophia felt an ominous feeling rise inside her, and it kept growing stronger. "Aren't you curious? Why those three thugs, who had no grudge against Blake at all, suddenly came here to kill them, and why they acted like money meant nothing? Aren't you curious how much I paid them? For them to ignore an offer of 10 million? I said all of this calmly. But to Sophia, my voice sounded like the whisper of a demon. So those three thugs really were sent by Ethan. Only Ethan could hate Blake enough to want him dead, even though her suspicion had now been confirmed. Sophia felt nothing but endless terror. Ethan was completely insane. Tormenting them for so long still hadn't been enough. He had actually wanted them dead. Now that she knew this secret, could she possibly survive? "Hey, why are you trembling so badly?" Sophia's entire body shook as the fear inside her continued to grow. "Since you're so curious, I'll tell you." I raised the pocket watch and gently swung it in front of her eyes. "It was all because of this little thing." Sophia frowned. Looking completely confused, I gave a soft laugh and slowly explained, "It's called the Soul Control pocket watch. All I have to do is activate it, and I can control someone's mind. Whatever I order them to do, they'll do it. Amazing, isn't it?" "Pretty interesting, right?" Sophia trembled from head to toe. In all her years of life, she had never witnessed anything supernatural. If she hadn't seen everything that happened today, she would have laughed at such a ridiculous claim. But now the evidence was right in front of her. She had no choice but to believe it. Why, yeah, it really is incredible. Sophia had no other option. So she desperately tried to stall for time, hoping someone might notice something was wrong. Right? I think it's amazing too. I leaned beside her ear with a sinister smile. So, why don't you guess? What order I'm going to give you? Kill someone? Kill herself? Sophia completely broke down. She grabbed my clothes tightly and begged, Ethan, please. I'm begging you. I'll do anything you want. Just don't control me. Don't kill me. Please. I looked coldly at the woman who had falsely accused me and caused me to spend 8 years in prison. There wasn't a trace of sympathy in my eyes. I slowly said, word by word, guess. I don't want to guess. Please let me go. Sophia shook her head desperately. She jumped up and tried to run, but I kicked her back to the ground. Sophia's hair fell messily around her face, and the intense pain throughout her body left her without even enough strength to stand. Ethan, why are you doing this to me? All I did was keep you around as a backup for 3 years. That's not worth dying over. Please don't kill me. The next second, that demonic voice sounded again. Guess, Sophia cried uncontrollably, and begged through her tears. Please, please, I slapped her, then said coldly, guess. I'll guess. I'll guess. Sophia couldn't take it anymore. I think you'll make me kill someone. Or make me kill myself. Wrong. My voice was colder than ice, each word seeming to come through clenched teeth. But, to Sophia, that answer sounded like music from heaven. Hope suddenly ignited inside her. I don't have to die. Sophia looked overjoyed, and immediately dropped to her knees, bowing repeatedly. Thank you. I'm not finished yet. There's a certain country with a very distinctive atmosphere that would suit you perfectly. Where? Asangal, of course. Aren't you happy? The last bit of hope in Sophia's heart died instantly. I watched Sophia's figure gradually disappear around the corner. But the mission completion notification still didn't arrive. I helplessly shook my head and was just about to turn around and leave when my phone suddenly vibrated. It was Claire. A smile instantly appeared on my face, and even my voice became much gentler. What's wrong, Claire? In my heart, Claire was the one I truly cared about. Everyone else came second. Nothing. I just wanted to ask if you're coming home for dinner tonight. Emily is back. Claire's gentle voice felt like a spring breeze brushing past my ears, hearing that familiar voice. The excitement still lingering from my successful revenge slowly calmed down. When I heard the name Emily, my eyebrow lifted unconsciously. Emily was Claire's second daughter, a genuine young genius who was currently pursuing her doctorate at Hangzhou University. But she had always been extremely cold and reserved, and our relationship had never been particularly close. I quickly replied, I'm coming back. Definitely. I'm heading home right now. Claire, remember to leave a pair of chopsticks for me. Of course. I already set them out for you. There was a smile in Claire's voice. Come home. We're waiting for you. After a brief pause, she added, and don't drive too fast. Be careful on the road. Stay safe. Got it, Claire. Don't worry. I'm always careful when I drive. After hanging up, I stepped on the gas and headed home. Half an hour later, I pushed open the living room door, and the aroma of freshly cooked food immediately greeted me. Claire and Emily were already sitting at the dining table. Ken, waiting for quite a while. Sorry. Traffic was terrible. I kept you waiting. As I spoke, I hurried across the room and dropped into my seat at the table. It's fine. I just finished cooking. Claire wore a gentle smile, and her eyes were filled with concern. Here, eat while it's hot. Have some more meat. I feel like you've gotten thinner lately. As she spoke, her chopsticks kept moving as she picked up several pieces of glistening beef and piled them all into my bowl. I smiled and praised her. Thanks, Claire. Your cooking really is the best. Just smelling it is already making my mouth water. As I spoke, I picked up a piece of meat with my chopsticks and placed it into Claire's bowl. Claire, you should eat more too. Claire smiled warmly at me. As long as you like it. I turned toward Emily beside her and greeted her with a grin. Emily, long time no see. Emily raised her eyes slightly and replied with her usual few words. Yeah, long time no see. Emily was dressed very simply today, in an ordinary, light-colored t-shirt, paired with tight jeans, that perfectly outlined her figure. Her long, fair legs looked almost impossibly endless, like those of a professional model. Her entire presence gave off an unmistakable, "Don't come near me" aura. I ate while secretly glancing at her, thinking Emily really gets prettier every time I see her. Too bad her personality is colder than Antarctica. Throughout dinner, Claire kept putting more food into my bowl, and the two of us interacted warmly, while Emily quietly ate, occasionally looking up at us, without much emotion in her eyes. As dinner neared its end, I became curious about Emily's stats, and silently commanded, "View Emily's information. Name, Emily. Appearance, 98. Personality, Sundari. Interests, reading and studying. Affection, 75. Special trait, natural charmer. Value, 20x. Experience, 0 times. Marriages, 0. Relationship status, single. Current situation, struggling with her dissertation. Current mood, average. Current wish, to graduate successfully." As I continued eating, I thought over Emily's information. This woman definitely wouldn't be easy to win over. Claire had 3 daughters in total. Her oldest daughter, Hannah, and her second daughter, Emily, were twins, but their personalities were completely different. One was gentle and approachable, while the other kept everyone at a distance. Her youngest daughter was mischievous and tsundere. All 3 daughters had completely different personalities. I decided to take the initiative and probe for information. "Emily, you seem a little down. Did something happen recently?" Hearing that, Claire also looked toward her daughter and noticed that Emily really was frowning. So she asked too, "Yeah?" "Emily, did something happen?" "Nothing. My dissertation is just difficult to write." Hearing that, I immediately started searching through the system shop to see whether there was anything useful. Sure enough, after searching for a while, I finally found something. Professor-level physics knowledge, 300 points. I bought it without hesitation. Purchase successful. Romance points, 300. Current total, 100. The next second, a refreshing sensation flowed into my mind. I suddenly felt like I could lecture physics PhD students without any difficulty at all. "Emily, what's the topic of your dissertation?" "Tell me. Maybe I can help." Emily looked at me like I was an idiot. The normally icy beauty wore a rare blank expression, creating an oddly adorable contrast. If it had been our tsundere youngest sister, she probably would have mocked me immediately. But Emily didn't. Her expression remained unchanged. As she recited the long title of her dissertation, my eyes lit up. I know this. I immediately listed a whole series of related physics concepts. Emily was completely stunned. She never expected a college freshman to understand a PhD-level physics dissertation. Emily's affection toward the host +1. Current affection, 76. Keep it up. She stared at me in disbelief. Even her usually emotionless expression finally showed a rare fluctuation. She immediately asked me about several concepts from her dissertation, and I answered every question smoothly. Without even needing much time to think, Claire didn't understand what we were discussing, but she still smiled warmly as she watched the two of us talk. Yet a faint sadness appeared inside her. Maybe Ethan really does prefer younger girls like Emily. Emily slowly slumped back into her chair, looking as though she were questioning everything she knew. It was a complete contrast to her earlier cool appearance. She couldn't believe she knew less than someone who had only just graduated high school. Unwilling to accept it, Emily asked, "Where did you learn all this?" "I taught myself. Whenever I'm bored, I read some physics books." Emily was speechless, couldn't accept that after years of studying from morning until night, she was somehow worse than someone who only studied casually. She took a deep breath to calm herself and tried hard to restore her usual icy expression. High EQ choice assist activated. Option 1, smile arrogantly. "Sorry. Being a genius is only the minimum requirement to stand beside me." Option 2, say casually, "Emily, you wouldn't want to fail to graduate, would you?" Option 3, say innocently, "Emily, how about we go to your room after dinner? I'm interested in this field too. We can study it together." I grinned innocently. "Emily, how about we go to your room after dinner? I'm interested in this field too. We can study it together." Job, romance points 100. Current total 200. Emily's affection toward the host +1. Current affection 77. Keep it up. Emily's expression remained unchanged. "Okay." Although she rarely wasted words, a slight ripple had already appeared inside her heart. Emily's affection toward the host +3. Current affection, 80, keep it up. After we finished eating, I followed Emily to her room, inside the bedroom. Emily pulled out a thick dissertation draft and handed it to me. Take a look. She still refused to believe that a college freshman could actually understand this dissertation. I took the draft and sat down at the desk to read it. Emily stood beside me. She felt like it hadn't been that long since she last saw me. So why did I suddenly seem so much more attractive? If her advisor hadn't been busy with a research project, she never would have ended up asking a freshman for help. Just thinking about it made her feel embarrassed. As Emily thought to herself, her gaze wandered around absent-mindedly until she accidentally noticed something that made her freeze. She had never encountered anything like that before. Her beautiful face instantly turned bright red. The woman usually known as an untouchable ice queen suddenly looked unusually charming. What on earth is this brat thinking about? I didn't notice anything unusual about Emily and quickly finished skimming through the dissertation draft. Then I said confidently, "No problem. I think I know exactly where you're getting stuck." Seeing Emily's flushed face, I became a little confused and asked, "Emily, are you hot?" "Hon?" Emily jolted and finally pulled her gaze away. She hurriedly said, "Why, yeah, it's pretty hot today." As she spoke, she tied her long hair up, revealing her fair neck. Then she repeatedly fanned herself with one hand, while blowing softly through her lips, as if trying to cool the strange heat inside her. High EQ choice assist activated. Option 1, lick your lips and grin wickedly. Are you stupid? If you're hot, just take your clothes off. If you don't know how, I can help you. Option 2, say casually, "Emily, it isn't hot today. It's actually pretty cool. I think the heat is coming from inside you. Let me check." Option 3, say gently, "Then I'll turn on the air conditioner. I'm feeling a little hot too." I stood up, picked up the air conditioner remote, and smiled. "Then I'll turn on the air conditioner. I'm feeling a little hot too." As cool air continuously filled the room, the temperature quickly became much more comfortable. Romance points, plus 100. Current total, 300. Emily's affection toward the host, plus 5. Current affection, 85. Keep it up. Just turning on the air conditioner raised her affection that much? That meant my behavior had touched something deep inside Emily. After thinking about it, I realized why. Emily had been independent since childhood, but deep down, she actually wanted someone to treat her like a little girl, to protect her and take care of her. She liked someone who would take the initiative. But because she was cold on the outside and warm on the inside, she normally had very few pursuers. Most guys felt inferior the moment they saw her. The timid starved, while the bold got everything. I suddenly took Emily's fair hand, and while she was still stunned, guided her over to the desk and sat her down. Then I moved close beside her and started explaining the difficult parts of the dissertation. Emily's mind went completely blank. A rosy blush slowly spread across her fair neck, and even her delicate earlobes turned faintly pink, catching the masculine scent coming from beside her. Her heart began pounding uncontrollably. Emily's thoughts wandered everywhere, and she didn't absorb a single word I said. Is this really Ethan? It's only been a few days, but he seems so much more mature, and so much more masculine. He isn't going to confess to me, is he? But there are several years between us. Mom definitely wouldn't approve. What am I supposed to do if he confesses? Emily's affection toward the host, plus 2. Current affection, 87. Keep it up. I suddenly reached out and touched her beautiful face, then asked seriously, "Emily, do you have a fever? Your face feels a little warm." Emily suddenly jumped to her feet, lowered her head without saying a word, and pushed me out of the room. Bang, the door slammed shut, followed by her slightly trembling voice. "I'm a little tired today. I'm gonna rest first. We can talk about the dissertation next time." Emily's affection toward the host, plus 1. Current affection, 88. And keep it up. Women really did say one thing while feeling another. I casually replied, "Okay. Get some rest, Emily." There was no need to rush things anyway. With that, I planned to go help Claire massage her shoulders. The moment I stepped into the living room, I saw Claire practicing yoga. My Adam's apple moved unconsciously. At that moment, Claire was holding a difficult stretching pose. Damn, I swallowed hard and suddenly felt my mouth go dry. My eyes seemed completely locked onto Claire, and I couldn't look away. Claire seemed to notice my gaze. She froze for a moment, then gave me a gentle smile. Ethan, you're out already? High EQ choice assist activated. Option 1, grin mischievously. Hee hee, Claire. How am I supposed to handle this alone? Why don't you help me out? Option 2, say casually. Ma'am, why did you stop? Keep doing yoga. I haven't seen enough yet. Option 3, pretend not to notice anything. Yeah. Emily got a little tired, so she decided to rest. We'll go over the dissertation again another time. I finally snapped back to reality and instinctively said, yeah. Emily got a little tired, so she decided to rest. We'll go over the dissertation again another time. Romance points plus 100. Current total, 400. Claire smiled gently. You worked hard. Then she stood up and walked over to me, gently wiping the sweat from my forehead. I quietly took in everything she did. Only when I was with Claire did I understand what was truly worth cherishing. Soon, Claire, once I finish my final revenge, I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. Looking at the gentle beauty in front of me and breathing in the faint fragrance around her, I suddenly felt an uncontrollable impulse rise inside me. My hands trembled slightly as I opened my arms and pulled Claire tightly into my embrace. The moment I hugged her, it felt like I was holding the most precious treasure in the world. My heart began pounding violently, as if it wanted to burst from my chest. Claire's gentle breath brushed against my neck, making my heart tremble. Her body stiffened slightly, but quickly relaxed again. That tiny change filled me with warmth. Claire's affection toward the host plus 1, current affection, 95. Keep it up. Claire gently leaned against my chest, and both our hearts pounded wildly in that silent embrace. After a long while, Claire finally pushed me away reluctantly. A shy blush colored her face, but her eyes were filled with tenderness. Ethan, sit here for a moment. I'll get you some water. With that, she turned and walked toward the kitchen. Watching Claire's back, I took a deep breath and tried to calm my wildly beating heart. Before long, Claire returned with a glass of water and handed it to me. Then naturally sat down beside me. Ethan, have you been dealing with something upsetting lately? Can you tell me about it? Claire's voice was gentle, with a trace of careful concern. I took the glass, drank some water, then slowly answered, Claire, I'm fine. I just didn't do well on the college entrance exam, and college life is about to start soon. When that happens, I probably won't get to see you every day anymore, so I've been feeling a little down. Claire gently held my hand, then said softly, You can come home every day. I'll buy you a car. Riverdale University isn't that far away anyway. A flash of excitement appeared in my eyes. Really? You won't get tired of having me around. Claire gently patted the back of my hand, then bit her soft red lip, and said shyly, Of course not. I like having you around too. That's great. Claire, you're the best. Excited, I pulled her into my arms again. It took a while before Claire gently broke free. That made me incredibly excited. We had finally broken through the hugging barrier. Just then, the yoga instructor's voice came from the television. Next, we'll move on to a more challenging pose. To fully test your flexibility. Claire glanced at the television, then exclaimed softly, Oh, I completely forgot I was doing yoga. Looking at the scene before me, an idea suddenly occurred to me, and I silently started browsing through the system shop. System, redeem yoga master. Redemption successful. Romance points 100. Current total, 300. Yoga master Ethan is now online. I turned toward Claire. Claire, let me help you practice yoga. I learned a few techniques before. I'm pretty good at it. Claire lightly bit her red lip and hesitated. It wasn't that she doubted I knew yoga, but practicing yoga together could make certain poses feel a little too intimate. Then Claire remembered the massage from before and how nothing inappropriate had happened. I had behaved perfectly calmly the entire time, while she had been the one overthinking everything. Still, the thought of us practicing together made her cheeks grow hot. A rosy blush slowly spread across her fair neck. Claire's mind became a complete mess. Yet somehow, she still found herself agreeing. Oh, okay. I'll trouble you then. Ethan. Hearing that, I was thrilled inside, but kept a calm expression on my face. I extended my hand in invitation. Claire, let's go over to the yoga mat. Claire's cheeks were flushed, and she gently nodded. She followed behind me with her head lowered, looking almost like a child who had done something wrong. On the television, the yoga instructor was explaining the first pose. The triangle stretch. I took a deep breath and tried to calm my racing heart before saying, Claire, let's try this one first. It stretches the muscles in your legs and waist. As I spoke, I walked behind Claire and gently placed both hands on her waist. Claire's body suddenly trembled and instantly became tense. Like a frightened deer, I whispered beside her ear, Claire, spread your legs apart first. About shoulder width, my warm breath made a rosy flush spread across Claire's neck. She slowly moved her legs apart. Her heart was beating so fast it felt like it might leap into her throat. My hands slowly slid along the sides of her waist. Then I held her wrist and guided her into a side stretch. Straighten a little more. Feel the stretch through your body. Claire's cheeks were as red as ripe apples. She bit her lip and tried hard to stay calm. After finally completing the pose, Claire breathed lightly, and her body was still trembling a little. I quickly steadied her, but my hand accidentally brushed against her arm. The smooth sensation was dangerously distracting. Claire, you did really well. Then the yoga instructor on television began explaining a spinal twist. Claire, this pose improves spinal mobility. It's really good for your body. Claire nodded with a flushed face, feeling both nervous and strangely expectant. I had Claire sit down on the yoga mat, then sat behind her. Claire, straighten your left leg first. Then cross your right leg over it. As I spoke, I helped adjust Claire's posture. Following my instructions, Claire slowly twisted her body to one side. Her hands searched for somewhere to support herself. I gently wrapped my arms around her waist from behind. Bill, helping stabilize her, turned a little more. Claire, she turned her head, and suddenly our faces were incredibly close enough to clearly feel each other's breathing. Claire's eyes darted away nervously. She had never been this close to me before. The ambiguous atmosphere left her both embarrassed and unsure of what to do. After completing the pose, Claire seemed to have used up all her strength and slumped back into my arms. I held her tightly. After a long while, Claire finally gently pushed me away and fixed her slightly messy hair. Ethan, there's still another pose. Her voice was barely louder than a whisper. At that moment, the instructor on television, Ticket, began explaining how to do the splits. I looked at Claire, and a trace of anticipation flashed through my eyes. Claire, how about we try this one? This is the ultimate test of flexibility. Claire looked at the pose on the television, feeling both nervous and curious. She bit her lip, and after hesitating several times, finally nodded. She whispered, But Ethan, I'm afraid it'll hurt. I quickly reassured her. Claire, don't worry, I'll take it slowly. I had Claire stand on the yoga mat first, then crouched down and gently placed both hands on her thighs. Claire's body trembled slightly. She looked at me nervously. Claire, just relax. I'll slowly help you spread your legs. I gradually applied pressure, and Claire's legs began moving farther apart little by little. Her breathing grew faster, and tiny beads of sweat appeared on her forehead. I asked with concern, Does it hurt? Claire? She gritted her teeth and shook her head. As I continued applying pressure, Claire's legs spread wider and wider. I encouraged her, Claire, you're doing great. Just hold on a little longer. Claire's legs were now fully extended, forming a complete split. Her body trembled slightly. Whether from pain or nervousness, I couldn't tell. Looking at the scene in front of me, my throat suddenly felt painfully dry. Claire lifted her head and looked at me. Our eyes met, and a strong, ambiguous tension filled the air. Emily was holding a glass of water, about to take a drink, when the sight of the two of us sitting face to face hit her like a bolt of lightning. What are you two doing? Claire and I were startled by the sudden voice. I immediately pretended nothing unusual was happening. Nothing. I'm just teaching Claire some yoga. Is that so? Emily looked us over suspiciously. Normally, she wouldn't have felt anything at all, but today she actually felt a little jealous. She was seriously getting jealous of her own mother. The absurd thought startled Emily. She immediately denied it inside. No, definitely not. I'm just curious, that's all. Claire tilted her head and said awkwardly, Why, yeah, Ethan's actually really good at this. He taught me several poses. She had no idea why she felt so guilty. They were only practicing yoga, and it wasn't like anything inappropriate had happened. Emily looked at me curiously. I didn't know you were this talented, Ethan. You've changed so much since the last time I saw you. Not only do you understand PhD-level physics, you even know yoga now. I rubbed my nose and gave an awkward laugh. Not really. I just learn random things whenever I'm bored. It's nice when they actually come in handy. Emily gave a non-committal nod. Mom, you and Ethan should get some rest too. With that, she poured herself a glass of water. Then went upstairs to her room. Claire and I looked at each other, both seeing the awkwardness in the other's eyes. I broke the silence first. Then I'll head upstairs and rest. Claire, you should get some sleep too. At the same time, I made sure to leave myself an opening. I'll teach you some other poses next time. Okay, good night, Ethan. Good night, Claire. With that, I turned and headed back to my room. Claire watched my retreating figure, her thoughts drifting somewhere far away. Her beautiful face slowly turned red. After returning to my room, I lay down on the bed, but my mind was filled with everything that had just happened. While practicing yoga with Claire, her graceful figure, her shy expression, and the ambiguous interactions between us kept me awake for a long time. Time to set a small goal, kiss her next time. What is man, and nigh, Claire was also tossing and turning in bed. Her heartbeat still hadn't completely calmed down. Every time she thought about how closely I had guided her through the poses, her face turned red again. The most effective way to get revenge on a man is to go after the women he cares about. In my previous life, my dad's friend Victor not only stole my entire family fortune, but also worked with the campus beauty to send me to prison. Now that I had been reborn, I was going to destroy him through the business he was most proud of. Then make him obediently transfer his shares to me. That was only the first step. Once he returned home, he would discover that his wife and 3 daughters had already switched sides. The next day, I decided to inspect the company. Before long, I drove to Carefree Media. The moment I entered the office area, countless eyes turned toward me. Patrick and Marcus also looked over. The 2 of them were Victor's trusted men. Patrick frowned. Isn't that Mr. Ethan, the late chairman's son? What's he doing at the company? Marcus curled his lips into a mocking smile. Looks like our chance to score points has arrived. Mr. Victor told us before that if young Mr. Ethan ever came to the company, we should make sure to give him a proper welcome and put him in his place. After all, Mr. Victor is the one running the company now. Patrick looked disdainful. How old is that kid anyway? He was just lucky enough to be born into the right family and happened to inherit everything from his dead father. He thinks he can run a company? He should take a good look at himself first. Then Patrick quickly walked over to me and said mockingly, well, if it isn't young Master Ethan. Got some free time today, so you came to inspect the company? I frowned and gave him a cold glance. I'm the company's largest shareholder. What does it have to do with you if I come to inspect it? Who the hell are you to question me? Of course, I recognize these 2 pieces of trash. They were distant relatives of Victor and relied on that connection to throw their weight around inside the company. Talkiation. They even abused their positions to harass female employees. Patrick was left speechless by my response. Marcus quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Mr. Ethan, that's not what he meant. We know you care about the company, but everyone has their own area of expertise. Even before your dad passed away, the company's performance wasn't great. It's only thanks to Mr. Victor turning things around that the company has gradually gotten back on track. It really can't afford unnecessary disruption. Patrick finally recovered and quickly jumped back in. Exactly. After your dad died, under Mr. Victor's brilliant leadership, combined with all the hard work Marcus and I put in, the company has only continued to grow. Everyone around us who heard those words couldn't help sucking in a breath. They all thought these 2 were going way too far. But nobody dared speak up. Everyone knew Patrick and Marcus were Victor's trusted men. Anyone who offended them would have a miserable time at the company. But there was no way I was going to indulge these 2. The next second, I suddenly slapped Patrick, hard enough to swell his ugly face. Then I raised my leg and delivered a heavy kick. Before anyone could react, I sent Marcus flying too. Their screams echoed throughout the entire office. Everyone stared at the scene in stunned disbelief. Marcus and Patrick rolled across the floor, groaning nonstop. With an icy expression, I said, HR manager, get over here. The HR manager hurried over, his face filled with nervousness and confusion. He looked at me, then at Marcus and Patrick groaning on the floor, and felt increasingly uneasy. He had no idea what was going on. These two have abused their authority in this company, bullied employees, and seriously damaged the workplace environment. Fire them immediately. The HR manager's expression instantly became troubled. He knew perfectly well about their relationship with Victor, and firing them would definitely be difficult to explain. He cautiously said, "Mr. Ethan, these two have been with the company for quite a while, and they haven't made any major mistakes at work. Firing them so suddenly might be a little..." I said, "Fire them immediately. Or do you want to leave with them?" My icy stare made the HR manager shudder. He was afraid Victor would blame him, but he was even more afraid I would fire him on the spot. One was the company's largest shareholder, and the other was the current president. He couldn't afford to offend either one. With no other choice, he gritted his teeth and nodded. "Okay, Mr. Ethan, I'll handle it immediately." The surrounding employees were completely stunned. Then I addressed everyone in the company. Anyone who has ever been harassed by these two or pressured into anything inappropriate, come see me privately after work. I guarantee I'll make sure they go to prison. Victor angrily shoved open the glass door, then immediately cursed. "What the hell is going on? Why aren't any of you working? What are you all standing around gossiping about? Marcus, Patrick, what happened to you two? Who did this? Get the hell out here." Victor had originally been inside the president's office, giving his young secretary some very personal guidance, when the sudden commotion startled him badly. Embarrassed and furious, his anger instantly flared, and he stormed out demanding answers. His eyes swept across the office, before his gaze quickly met my ice-cold eyes. I did it. "Any objections?" Victor's throat went dry, and he cursed inwardly. Why the hell is this little bastard here? He was just about to put on a kind, fatherly expression when Marcus and Patrick scrambled over to him. Both men were sobbing hysterically, tears and snot covering their faces. "Mr. Victor, you have to stand up for us." Marcus hugged Victor's leg and cried. "Ethan came in here and immediately started beating people up. He even said he was going to fire us. Does the law mean nothing anymore?" Patrick hurriedly joined in, crying just as miserably. "That's right, Mr. Victor. We've always worked our hardest for you. How could he treat us like this? He wasn't just humiliating us. He was slapping you in the face, too." The corner of Victor's eye twitched, and his brows knitted tightly together. He glanced at my cold expression and decided to smooth things over for now. "Ethan, these two can be careless with their words. Maybe they offended you. I understand that young people can have hot tempers." Then his Adam's apple bobbed twice, as he forced out a smile. But still, beating people in front of everyone isn't appropriate. Give me some face. I'll make the two of them apologize to you, and we'll consider the matter settled." Victor glanced at the two men who were still crying, and his eye twitched again. He cursed inwardly. These idiots really can't read the room. Then he kicked them aside and snapped, "Apologize to Mr. Ethan right now." Only then did the two seem to wake up. They hurriedly lowered their heads and apologized. "Mr. Ethan, we ran our mouths. We deserved it. Please be generous. And forgive us this once." A cold smile curled across my lips. "Mr. Victor, on the 12th of last month, Patrick used his position in the artist's lounge to pressure trainee Olivia into sleeping with him. On July 3rd, Marcus used an audition as an excuse to lure Madison into room 63 at the Hilton, and there are plenty more cases like these. Would you like me to list them one by one? These were things I had uncovered in my previous life while investigating Victor, and happened to discover along the way. Now they were perfect for scaring these two into confessing. There are quite a few incidents like this. Should I hand the surveillance backups over to the police? As I spoke, I slowly pulled out my phone and waved it in front of everyone. Or should I call the two victims over right now and let them confront you? I didn't actually have any evidence on my phone, but clearly everyone present had been completely fooled, especially Patrick and Marcus, who knew they were guilty. Their legs went weak, and they collapsed to the floor like piles of mud. The moment I finished speaking, the office instantly filled with waves of hushed laughter. No one showed it openly, but inside everyone was applauding. Normally, these two lackeys abused their power throughout the company, and almost everyone had suffered because of them. Now everyone could finally watch them get what they deserved, and there was even a good chance they would end up in prison. The satisfaction was indescribable. Victor's heart sank. And a powerful sense of unease surged through him. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Ethan clearly hadn't come here with good intentions today. A thin layer of sweat appeared on his forehead. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly, and I asked with a faint smile, "Mr. Victor, what do you think we should do about this?" I cursed inwardly. How the hell am I supposed to know? These two idiots couldn't just abuse their positions quietly. They actually left evidence behind. What shocked him even more was that I, who had once been an ordinary college student, had suddenly become so forceful, and apparently even had evidence in my hands. This little bastard must have been planning this in secret for a long time. There was no way today's confrontation was spontaneous. He must be trying to use this incident to bring me down and take control of the company again. Ethan always treated me like a beloved uncle before. So why did he suddenly pull something like this today? What went wrong? Could he have discovered what happened back then? No, that shouldn't be possible. Everything had been cleaned up perfectly. No, I absolutely can't let him succeed. Victor's thoughts raced, and his expression shifted between pale and flushed. God and tire and pewters. Grabbed the teacup from the table and smashed it against Marcus's head. Scalding tea poured down his suit, making Marcus scream in pain. But he didn't dare complain. "You two bastards. The company has treated you well, and you still dare to do something this disgusting?" Victor put on an expression of righteous fury. "This is completely lawless. Behavior this morally corrupt cannot be tolerated. You must be severely punished." But inside he was calculating nonstop. These two were his trusted men. If he really punished them as harshly as Ethan wanted, his influence inside the company would take a serious hit. No, I need to find a way to minimize this and make it disappear quietly. I absolutely can't let him get his way. I need to control the situation immediately. Victor roared, "Security! Get these two scumbags out of here." As if I had already seen through his plan, I cut him off immediately. "Just call the police. Unless, Mr. Victor, you plan to give them time to destroy the evidence." The moment Marcus and Patrick heard the word police, their faces turned deathly pale. The two men who had been crying moments earlier now seemed to lose every ounce of strength and collapsed onto the floor. Marcus scrambled forward on all fours and once again wrapped himself around Victor's leg, begging desperately, "Mr. Victor, please save us. We know we were wrong. We'll never do it again. You can't hand us over to the police. If we go to prison, our lives are over." Patrick repeatedly slammed his forehead against the floor, making loud thuds with every blow. "Mr. Ethan, Mr. Victor, we'll compensate all the victims. Please show mercy and forgive us just this once. We have elderly parents and children depending on us. What will happen to them if we go to prison? Mr. Victor, something like this cannot be brushed aside. We have to give the companies, employees and those victims a proper explanation." Every word I spoke carried weight, pressing Victor harder and harder, until he had no response at all. At this point, Marcus and Patrick, these two useless idiots, had to be sacrificed. Victor clenched his back teeth so hard they nearly cracked, and forced out the order through gritted teeth, "Restrain them." The security guards immediately responded, rushing forward and pinning both men down. A dark stain suddenly spread across Patrick's pants, growing larger. The foul smell mixed with Marcus's desperate begging and filled the office. "Daniel, call the police." Hearing the order, Security Captain Daniel Reed immediately dialed the police. At that point, Marcus and Patrick finally understood that they had become the sacrificial pawns. Their faces turned deathly pale, and they dropped to their knees, begging and bowing nonstop. "Mr. Ethan, we were wrong. Please save us. Mr. Ethan, we really know we were wrong. Please forgive us this once. Mr. Ethan, please," Mr. Victor ordered us to, before he could finish. Several security guards clamped their hands tightly over the men's mouths. Marcus's eyes widened, and his face turned bright red. He could only make muffled sounds. A vein bulged slightly on Victor's neck, and his vicious eyes seemed ready to spit fire. "Take them downstairs. When the police arrive, hand them over." The crowd suddenly erupted. "That was awesome. Now that's what I call a real CEO. Hell yeah, someone should have dealt with those animals a long time ago." One of the most promising trainees I ever found was pressured by those two and ended up quitting in despair. Scattered applause gradually grew into a roar. Several female employees who had once been harassed were already crying. Victor's temples throbbed violently. After taking a deep breath, he put on a broad smile and addressed everyone. Everyone. This happened because I failed to supervise my subordinates properly, allowing these two to deceive those above them and bully those below, while committing such disgusting acts inside the company. Rest assured, I absolutely will not protect them. I'll fully cooperate with the police, and make sure the truth is thoroughly investigated, so the victims can clear their names, and everyone can receive justice. Several employees who were quick to follow whichever way the wind blew immediately began flattering him. Mr. Victor is incredible. Victor clapped his hands, signaling for everyone to return to their desks. All right, everyone, get back to work. Then he turned toward his secretary, Jays, and said, Lily, check everyone's phone who was present here. I don't want any video of what happened today ending up online. Secretary Lily, dressed in black stockings and a fitted skirt, nodded and replied, Understood, Mr. Victor. After the secretary left, Victor looked at me with a kindly expression and asked, You're on summer break right now, aren't you, Ethan? I've been so busy with work lately that I haven't had time to come home and spend time with you. Come to think of it, before your dad passed away, I promised him I'd take good care of you. Victor smiled warmly and patted me on the shoulder. Ethan, come inside. Let's talk. I quietly watched this bastard put on his little performance, and a faint smile curled across my lips. Then I calmly replied, Sure. After that, I followed Victor into the president's office. Inside the office, Victor's expression was so dark it looked ready to drip, but the moment he turned around, a warm smile appeared on his face. Even the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes seemed filled with kindness. He enthusiastically walked over to the sofa and gestured for me to sit, while saying, Ethan, you finally came. I've been waiting forever for the chance to sit down and have a proper talk with you. You kid, you went on summer break without even telling me. I've been worried about you this whole time. You've grown up now. If your dad and mom could see you from heaven, I'm sure they'd be very proud. As he spoke, he personally poured me a cup of hot tea. His movements were smooth and natural, as if he really were a caring elder looking after a younger relative. This was your dad's favorite, Da Hong Pao. As Victor poured the tea, he deliberately let the teapot tremble slightly, sending ripples through the amber-colored tea inside the porcelain cup. Anyone seeing him like this would probably praise him as the perfect uncle. He lowered his eyes slightly. He lowered his eyes slightly, hiding the icy gleam buried deep within them, the corners of my mouth, and they curled into a perfectly polite smile. Uncle Victor, I came straight to the company to see you, didn't I? After a brief pause, I continued with a subtle edge in my voice. Who would have thought that only a few years after my dad passed away, the company would already have scum like that bullying employees? Looks like you've been so busy, Uncle Victor, that you haven't paid much attention to the people working under you. And the company's profits over the past 2 years haven't exactly been impressive either. I know you're my elder, so I shouldn't say too much, but I can't just stand by and watch everything my dad built fall apart. You two were childhood friends, so I'm sure you can understand where I'm coming from. Listening to words that sounded respectful, but were filled with hidden blades. Victor's smile slowly disappeared. He felt something slipping out of his control. Inside the president's office, Victor gathered his thoughts and suddenly burst out laughing. The sound was especially grating. You've misunderstood me, Ethan. I actually discovered some time ago that those two bastards were using my name to run wild inside the company, bullying employees and abusing their power. When I first heard about it, I was furious. I wanted to tear them apart myself, but to avoid tipping them off and to catch everything at once, I held off on calling the police. For some time now, I've secretly had people gathering evidence against them. You just happened to run into the situation today. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly, revealing a faintly sinister smile. If that's the case, then I misunderstood you. Hearing that, Victor let out a heavy sigh. Ethan, there are so many things going on inside and outside this company. I'm buried in work every single day. I barely even have time to go home. You know, this company was something your dad and I built together through years of hard work. To protect it, I work from morning until night. I don't even have time for my own family. Sigh. I really haven't done right by your aunt. Victor sighed repeatedly, and there even seemed to be tears in his eyes. I remained silent, coldly watching his performance. Victor continued speaking, while putting on another dramatic sigh. I'm ashamed to admit it. I got so busy that I neglected the company's lower-level management. I never imagined those two bastards had been causing trouble inside the company for so long, doing such disgusting things to employees. The more Victor spoke, the angrier he pretended to become. He slammed the table heavily. Ethan, don't worry. I'll investigate this matter thoroughly and give every employee in this company a satisfactory explanation. Those two bastards will absolutely not escape punishment. I smiled and replied, Then I really did misunderstand you, Uncle Victor. I honestly didn't realize you were this busy. You've worked hard all these years. How about this? I'm on summer break right now, and I don't have much coursework. So from now on, I'll come to the company and help out. Victor's eyes widened. Bake! He instinctively tried to refuse. Ethan, you should still focus on your studies. As for the company, you have me here. So there's no need for you to worry about it. Before he could finish, I smiled and continued, And you're right, Uncle Victor. We absolutely can't let those two bastards escape punishment. I'll leave that matter in your capable hands. And I'll personally keep track of the progress, so no one under you can deceive you again. Let's leave it at that. Victor was left dizzy by my continuous moves. But after surviving in the business world for so many years, he was extremely calculating and still maintained his composure on the surface. Only deep within his eyes did a flash of almost insane ruthlessness appear as the company's largest shareholder. That fact alone meant that no matter how unwilling Victor was, he had no way to stop me from returning to the company. Even worse, for all these years, Victor had always presented himself as my caring elder, in front of everyone, building the image of someone who looked after me like family. If he openly turned against me over company matters, the good guy image he had carefully maintained for years would collapse instantly. There was no way he could accept watching the reputation he had worked so hard to build fall apart just like that. After thinking it over repeatedly, Victor knew that at this point he could only compromise for now. He leaned forward slightly and forced a smile onto his face. Ethan, if you really want to come back and help with the company, then of course I'll fully support you. If there's anything you don't understand or anything you need help with, come to me anytime. Then, thank you, Uncle Victor. I sat on the sofa and casually scanned everything around me, looking completely relaxed, while secretly paying attention to Victor's every movement. In my previous life, Victor had always seemed like a kind and approachable elder to me. It wasn't until I was falsely accused and sent to prison, learned the truth behind my parents' deaths, and discovered that Claire had died far from home, that I finally understood. Victor was a ruthless madman, but the current me was no longer the naive idiot from my previous life. Looking at Victor's supposedly kind and harmless face made me feel physically sick. I wanted nothing more than to rush forward and tear that hypocritical mask off his face. Victor continued wearing the expression of a caring and older now and said earnestly, The company's recent performance hasn't been very good. More and more companies are producing online dramas and movies, so competition is becoming increasingly intense. I'm under a lot of pressure too. Ethan, since you're coming back to the company, why don't you start at the ground level and familiarize yourself with how the business works? Victor looked completely sincere, as if every word were for my own benefit. I was speechless inside, but still kept my expression calm. Uncle Victor, you're older and probably don't spend much time online, so you may not understand the current market trends. Recently, I've been paying attention to short video platforms, and they're growing incredibly fast. I think our company should establish an influencer development division, focused specifically on discovering and training online creators. And once the department grows, we can use those influencers' reach to promote our film and television projects and open up entirely new business opportunities. Victor appeared to listen seriously, but inwardly he dismissed everything I said. He couldn't help chuckling before saying earnestly, Ethan, having ideas is a good thing. But you're still too naive. Short video platforms are just places where young people fool around. They're fine for documenting everyday life. But how could they ever become serious business? What good are millions of followers? Producing online dramas, that's a real business. I've been working in this industry for so many years. Do you really think I wouldn't know, Uncle Victor? This is exactly where the next major opportunity is. If the company can seize it early and develop a group of influential creators, we can make money through advertising and product promotion, and also integrate those influencers with our existing film and television business to expand into new areas. Victor remained dismissive inside. EQ had never thought much of these emerging short video platforms. But then another thought occurred to him. Since Ethan wants to mess around with this, then let him. If the project fails, his reputation inside the company will be completely destroyed. Then it would be much easier to get his shares from him when the time came. Thinking of that, Victor forced a faint smile onto his face. Ethan, your idea may still be a little immature, but it's worth trying. I'll support you this time. There's an unused office on the floor below. I'll assign it to you. The company is a little tight on cash right now, so I'll give you a budget of $1 million to start with. Work hard. I believe in you. $1 million really is a little too low. I made a rough estimate, and I'll need at least $10 million. What? $10 million? Victor's eyes widened, and he nearly jumped out of his chair. Ethan, the company isn't doing well right now. Where am I supposed to find that much money for you to experiment with? Besides, we don't even know whether this project has any future. Everything you're saying is still just a prediction. $1 million is all you're getting. That's already the maximum I can approve. I calmly replied. If we want to succeed in the short video market, we can't skimp on the initial investment. If we invest too little, we might as well not invest at all. As long as we seize the opportunity early, the returns later will be far beyond imagination. With only $1 million, the project won't even get off the ground. Then we'll not only waste time and energy, but also make the company miss a huge opportunity. Victor's brows tightened, forming a deep crease between them. His earlier casual attitude disappeared, and his expression grew darker. He had originally thought this so-called influencer division, when proposed, was nothing more than childish nonsense. He hadn't expected me to explain it so convincingly. Looking at how confident I was, it was obvious I had done plenty of homework beforehand. Victor's mind became a complete mess, and irritation surged inside him. Where had that clueless kid, who knew nothing about business, gone? Victor instinctively wanted to reject my request, but his eyes accidentally landed on my still somewhat youthful face. In that instant, another thought occurred to him, and a sinister gleam flashed through his eyes. Theory was one thing. Execution was another. There were countless people who could talk a good game, but very few who could actually succeed, no matter what. I was still just a young man with little real-world experience. What good were all these ideas? Even if he gave me $10 million to play with my ability, I would most likely still screw everything up. Then, the huge losses from the failed project would be enough to turn the entire company against me, with everyone pointing fingers at me. How could I possibly withstand that pressure? Wouldn't that be the perfect opportunity for him to take my shares? As for $10 million, compared with the crucial shares in my hands, it was practically nothing. The more Victor thought about it, the more viable the plan seemed. But he still put on a reluctant expression. Ethan, since you care this much about the company, I'll make up my mind and trust you this once. I'll go all in and support you. You'll get a budget of $10 million. Think of it as money for you to gain experience. Go ahead and do what you want. I believe you can make it work. Then thank you, Uncle Victor. I definitely won't disappoint you. I'll make sure this department succeeds. Now that the budget issue was finally settled, a barely noticeable smile appeared on my face. Uncle Victor, there's one more thing I need your help with. I heard there's a young actress named Ava in our web drama division. I think her image and potential are both pretty good, and she fits the direction I have in mind for the influencer division. How about transferring her to my team? Victor froze slightly and found it a little strange that I had specifically noticed such an insignificant actress. Ava? He had never even heard the name before. But since he was convinced I couldn't accomplish anything anyway, One more minor actress didn't matter. He also didn't want to argue with me over something this trivial, so he waved his hand and said, "Fine. If you want her, transfer her over. She's just a minor actress. Don't let it distract you from the actual project." I smiled. "Thanks, Uncle Victor. Leave it to me." With that, I headed toward the talent department. My only thought was to meet Ava as quickly as possible and move on to the next step of my plan. Inside the dance studio of the talent department, more than 20 newcomers were enthusiastically doing body training exercises. The sound of the door opening rang out, and all the girls training inside turned their heads at the same time. The first to react was a beautiful woman with short hair. After joining the company, she had already found out that its largest shareholder was a young man, and she had decided she absolutely had to cling to this golden opportunity. The moment she saw me, the short-haired beauty's eyes widened with excitement. The other women in the room immediately became alert too, each of them suddenly full of ideas. I felt as though I had stepped into a garden full of flowers. The woman closest to the door was a beauty named Lily. She smiled brightly and waved. "Hello, Mr. Ethan." I didn't respond, because there was only one thing on my mind. I needed to pull Ava onto my side as quickly as possible, and get her firmly tied to my plans, especially since she hadn't debuted yet and was still stuck in some forgotten corner of my own company. Ava looked like a timid little rabbit, keeping her head lowered as she quietly shrank into the corner. Her face was unbelievably pure and innocent, with soft, youthful features. She had the perfect first love look. I smiled and waved. "Ava?" Ava instinctively shrank even farther into the shadows. This was her first time meeting a boss, whose net worth exceeded 100 million. Around us, the other women all showed surprised expressions, their faces filled with envy and jealousy. I silently commanded, "View Ava's information. Name, Ava. Age, 21. Appearance, 96. Personality, cheerful. Affection, 60. Natural charm, plus 20. Experience, 0. Marital status, single. Current mood, positive. Current wish to successfully debut." I strode over to Ava, trying to make my voice sound as gentle as possible. "Ava, I need to talk to you about something. Come with me to the conference room next door." Ava had no idea what was going on. She nervously nodded, her voice trembling slightly. Mr. Ethan, okay." Her little heart was pounding so hard it nearly jumped into her throat. Once she saw me walking away, she hurriedly stood up and followed, jogging toward the practice room door. Her running posture was unexpectedly cute. The actresses behind her stared after us like poisoned knives, jealousy twisting their expressions, while they whispered under their breath. The short-haired beauty, Chloe, stood gracefully by the doorway. Her eyes remained fixed on me. As Ava and I approached, she had to seize this opportunity. With that thought, Chloe made up her mind. "Mr. Ethan! Mr. Ethan!" Two sweet voices rang out almost simultaneously, both women deliberately making their voices soft and cute. Chloe turned toward the sound, and anger immediately flashed through her eyes. "You, again, Lily. You schemin' bitch, you actually dare compete with me for him?" At that moment, Lily also looked completely determined. She had figured it out too. Instead of fighting for some uncertain chance at debuting, she might as well bet everything on me, the handsome and wealthy largest shareholder. "You, Chloe, you dare ruin my chance?" Their eyes met, and they glared viciously at each other. The tension between them was almost explosive. I watched the scene with interest, and a smile appeared on my lips. But that short-haired beauty looked strangely familiar. I thought carefully, and quickly remembered someone from my previous life. An influencer with tens of millions of followers. My eyes lit up. Looks like I had stumbled onto a treasure. My gaze repeatedly swept over Chloe. Chloe was thrilled inside. "Mr. Ethan is paying attention to me. Does that mean I really have a chance to change my life?" At the thought of that, the joy on Chloe's face became impossible to hide. She even raised an eyebrow provocatively at Lily. Lily gritted her teeth in anger. I had originally thought finding Ava was already lucky enough. I never expected there to be a Chloe here too. Unable to wait, I silently commanded, "View Chloe's information. Name, Chloe. Age, 24. Appearance, 90. Personality, cheerful. Affection, 60. Natural charm, plus 20. Experience, 0. Marital status, single. Current mood, Excited. Current wish to become the host's lover. Chloe's looks were exceptional compared with ordinary people, but the women around me were all breathtakingly beautiful. Claire, Victoria, and the three Blake sisters. Any one of them was prettier than her, but I wasn't exactly picky. Pulling my scattered thoughts back, I raised my head and looked at Chloe and Lily with interest. The two of them were still glaring fiercely at each other, neither willing to look away first. They seemed to notice my gaze and immediately put their masks back on, changing expressions in an instant. Chloe instantly perked up. She straightened her back and unconsciously pushed her chest forward, trying to show off her most attractive side. Watching the two of them compete like peacocks, I found it pretty amusing. I asked calmly, "Do you two need something?" The moment Chloe heard that, her face filled with a sweet smile. Her entire demeanor became clingy and affectionate, and her voice turned sugary sweet. I want to work under you too, Mr. Ethan. When I first joined the company, I heard all about how your father built this company from the ground up, and the senior employees all said you're incredibly talented. If I follow you, I'm sure I can become famous. And if I really make it big, I'll definitely thank you properly. Lily stared at Chloe in disbelief, as she shamelessly kept flattering me, not wanting to fall behind. Lily hurriedly moved closer, put on a bright smile. "Mr. Ethan, as long as I can work with you, I'm willing to accept any conditions. I don't even care whether I become famous. I just want the chance to work by your side," I silently commanded. View Lily's information. Name, Lily. Age, 22. Appearance, 89. Personality, cheerful. Affection, 70. Natural charm, plus 20. Experience, 0. Marital status, single. Current mood, positive. Current wish, bore, wants to become the host's lover. In my previous life, Lily never became a major influencer. But athletic beauties with tan skin like hers were definitely rare. I smiled and said, "Everything comes at a price, whether it's Ava, Chloe, or Lily. What price are you willing to pay? If you want to work under me?" The two of them froze at the same time. The next second, their excitement became impossible to hide. "Yes, absolutely. We've dreamed of working with you, Mr. Ethan." "Fine, since you all want to work with me so badly. Then come to the conference room and we'll talk." With that, I turned and walked away. Ava hurriedly followed behind me, while Chloe and Lily rushed after us, neither forgetting to glare at the other. Inside the conference room, I cleared my throat and got straight to the point. I'll say the difficult part first. This department will be one of the company's next major areas of development, using short video platforms to build and develop influencers. But since the department is brand new, a lot of things still aren't fully established. So if the three of you join, you need to think carefully. My gaze swept over the three women with different expressions. But I already have a rough plan for how each of you should develop, and I'm completely confident that I can make all three of you popular within 3 months. Chloe responded immediately. "Mr. Ethan, I'm following you no matter what. If you're willing to guide me, I'll work hard, and I definitely won't disappoint you." Lily quickly chimed in with a sweet voice. "Mr. Ethan, I really want to work with you too. I'll work super hard." She smiled brightly, but inside she was grinding her teeth. No, I have to make the first move tonight and secure a place in Mr. Ethan's heart. I refuse to believe you'll beat me to it again. Ava froze for a moment, then took a deep breath. Her large eyes looked at me nervously. Filled with anticipation, she quietly said, I want to work with you too, Mr. Ethan." I nodded in satisfaction. "Good. Someday, all of you will be proud of the decision you made today. Don't worry, even though our department is brand new, we already have 10 million in startup funding, with at least another 50 million coming later. Before I make the three of you famous, I don't plan to expand the team. In other words, that 10 million will be invested into the three of you first. As long as you work hard, you'll have all the resources you need." The moment I finished speaking, all three women's eyes lit up. Their excitement was impossible to hide. They could barely believe it. All three of them were almost dizzy from the sudden good news. Ava's affection toward the host +1. Current affection 64. Chloe's affection toward the host +1. Current affection 61. Lily's affection toward the host +1. Current affection 71. Keep it up. Chloe jumped up excitedly, her figure bouncing with the movement. Lily was equally thrilled, and the way she looked at me was almost unbearably affectionate. Ava wasn't nearly as dramatic, but her eyes still sparkled with anticipation. They could already imagine themselves standing beneath the spotlight as famous influencers, admired by countless fans. I slowly walked out of the conference room with an amused smile on my face. I had to admit, watching Chloe and Lily compete over me was pretty entertaining. What man wouldn't enjoy watching beautiful women get jealous over him? I walked over to the printer and printed out several contracts. These were artist contracts I had asked a law firm to prepare in advance last night. Contracts in hand, I headed straight back to the office. Inside, Chloe stood with her hands on her hips, glaring adorably at Lily. "You copycat. Whatever I say, you repeat right after me. Shameless copycat." Lily glanced at her disdainfully. You think everyone is as brainless as you? Ava and I actually think before we speak. Unlike you, who just blurts out whatever comes to mind. Right, Ava? Ava, who had been zoning out, suddenly got dragged into it. She smiled awkwardly and said, "Everyone's different. That's normal." "What do you mean by that?" Chloe's face turned red with anger. She immediately stepped forward and bumped into Lily, forcing Lily back several steps. "So, what if you're bigger?" Lily wasn't intimidated at all. She stepped forward and pushed right back. The sound of the door opening suddenly rang out, and the two of them instantly returned to perfect composure, with flattering smiles covering their faces. "Mr. Ethan, you're finally back." Chloe's sticky sweet voice rang out first. She swayed her waist and hurried toward me like an excited housecat. Her eyes were filled with anticipation. Lily and Ava followed right behind her. I handed each of them a contract. "These are your artist contracts. The base salary is high, the benefits are good, and the revenue split is generous too. These terms are among the best in the industry. However, the breach of contract penalty is high, and the contract term is long, so think carefully. If you have no objections, sign them." Chloe took the contract and gave me a flirtatious look. "Whatever you say, Mr. Ethan. I'm following you from now on anyway." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Aren't you afraid I might sell you?" "You're not that kind of person, Mr. Ethan." Chloe grabbed my arm and shook it playfully like she was acting spoiled. "Do the rest of you have any thoughts? You can still back out." Chloe's gaze became determined. "Guzz." And she said sweetly, "Mr. Ethan, I'll never regret it. When do we start working?" High EQ. Choice assist activated. Option 1, smile wickedly. "Why are you pretending? Since you're already acting cute, why don't we discuss things privately and each get what we want?" Option 2, say casually, "Wow, you're that impatient? Then why don't we start right here, in front of everyone?" Option 3, say calmly, "First we need to recruit staff and purchase equipment. For the next few days, continue training with the talent department. If you get tired, you can come rest in this office. I'll have someone clean it later," I said calmly. "First, we need to recruit staff and purchase equipment. For the next few days, continue training with the talent department. If you get tired, you can come rest in this office. I'll have someone clean it later." Man's points, plus 100. Current total, 500. Chloe's affection toward the host, P2. Current affection, 63. "Keep it up," Chloe said excitedly. "Okay." Lily immediately followed and said, "I won't regret it either. I believe in you, Mr. Ethan. You'll definitely make us famous across the country." Ava lightly bit her lip. "I won't regret it either. Since I chose to follow you, Mr. Ethan, I'll keep following you." The three of them quickly signed the contracts and handed them to me. I nodded in satisfaction, detected that the host has successfully recruited Ava, appearance 96. "Congratulations, host. Main mission completed. Help the weak and promote truth, kindness, and beauty. Rewards have been delivered. Tsundere translator, 10 million real traffic vouchers. Cash reward, 50 million. The cash reward has been transferred to the host's account through legal and compliant channels. Finally, the mission was complete." I silently commanded, "Traskal S, view detailed information on the Tsundere translator." Tsundere translator. This translator can automatically convert a woman's insincere words into subtitles showing her true inner thoughts, making every dishonest statement impossible to hide. I cleared my throat twice and made a promise. I can guarantee that all three of you will become popular within 3 months. Just wait and see. After exchanging contact information with them, I continued, that's enough for today. Go back and prepare yourselves. Once the department is ready in a couple of days, I'll contact you. I waved my hand, signaling that they could leave. The three women nodded repeatedly and reluctantly headed toward the office door. After watching their figures disappear, I chuckled softly. Not bad. They're all beauties. I actually felt like I was raising characters in a game. Once all three of them became famous, when it was finally time to reap the rewards, the feeling would definitely be different from being with ordinary women. Just like the cold and glamorous actress Victoria. Speaking of which, it had already been a whole day. Victoria was probably missing me by now. But this wasn't the time to think about that. The newly established influencer department still had countless things to deal with. As for Victoria, I'd leave her alone for now. Soon enough, she'd be desperate to see me. Inside the office, I stared at the contracts and thought carefully. My mind began listing the positions I needed: a beautiful assistant, a capable operations manager, and several other key employees to coordinate everything across the department. Besides that, I also needed a capable second in command with strong ability, high loyalty, and preferably someone who could fully cooperate with my orders and help me manage the whole operation. After all, I couldn't waste all my time on trivial matters. A familiar face suddenly appeared in my mind. Rebecca. She was a top executive personally trained by my father. My father had funded her education and helped her rise from nothing into senior management. So there was no question about her loyalty. Even after my father passed away, she still visited his grave every year. That bond had never faded. More importantly, she was highly experienced and had worked at my family's company for many years. Unfortunately, after my father died, Victor suppressed her until she was completely marginalized. Now was the perfect time to bring her onto my side. While I was thinking, my phone suddenly started vibrating nonstop. I unlocked it and looked. Chloe, Lily, Jiz, and Ava had all sent me messages at almost the same time. I couldn't help laughing. What a coincidence. All three of them picked the same time. I opened Chloe's chat first, and her very first message nearly stunned me. It was a selfie. Her wet hair clung to her face. Her eyelashes were half lowered, and her eyes looked hazy. Her beautiful face was slightly flushed right against the screen, and her lips looked especially soft and full. I chuckled and shook my head. This girl was trying to play hard to get, wasn't she? Immediately afterward, Chloe's messages came one after another. Hello. Oh, good evening. It's me, Chloe. I'm so excited today. I'm usually practically invisible. No one ever notices me. I never imagined I'd get your attention, Mr. Ethan. Please take good care of me from now on. She added a shy cat emoji. I couldn't help muttering, take care of you, my ass. Do you think this is a wedding? I replied with extreme indifference. The moment she saw my response, Chloe immediately sent another message. Mr. Ethan replied to me. Have you eaten yet? Hi. Mr. Ethan, did you see the, selfie I just sent? I casually replied, I saw it. What about it? The chat showed that she was typing. For a while before the indicator disappeared, only after quite some time did another message finally appear. I just wanted to ask what you think of this look. Do I have the potential to become popular? Along with the message, she sent another selfie. She was wearing a sleeveless top, looking fresh and sweet, yet carrying a dangerously attractive charm. I couldn't help sucking in a breath and used 2 fingers to zoom in on the photo for a closer look. It really was pretty good. This woman sure knew how to pick her timing. Was she deliberately testing my self-control? I quickly typed a reply. From my professional perspective, you have a strong foundation. If you follow the plan I give you, a few million followers will only be the beginning. Really, if I can actually get millions of followers, Mr. Ethan, I'll do anything you ask. Anything. Seeing that, a triumphant smile appeared on my face. Since you said that, I'm going to take you seriously. On the other side of the screen, Chloe excitedly rolled around on her bed. Originally, she had thought becoming a small influencer with a few 100,000 followers would already be pretty good, but I had just told her that several million followers would only be the starting point. She frantically encouraged herself inside. This is my chance. Chloe, you have to hold on to Mr. Ethan, your lifeline, no matter what. She could already picture her bright future. To seize this opportunity, she gritted her teeth and dug out some special treasures buried deep in her phone, several high-definition photos that she had carefully taken whenever she was bored. If pictures like these ever leaked, her reputation could be seriously damaged. But she didn't care anymore. She had to take the risk. A string of messages suddenly popped up in the chat. Chloe sent 9 high-definition photos. Mr. Ethan, do you think I look good? What kind of style suits me? She added another shy emoji. I stared at the high-resolution images appearing on my screen for half a second, then examined them one by one, while evaluating them internally. Not bad, great angle. The lighting on this one is excellent. The proportions on this one are perfect. Her photography skills are actually pretty good. Meanwhile, Chloe stared at my profile picture, waiting and waiting without seeing any response. She almost threw her phone and wailed while clutching it. Why isn't he reacting? He had already gone all out, and even sent him the private photos she normally kept hidden. Yet this man somehow showed absolutely no reaction. Then she sent another string of messages. Mr. Ethan, followed by an expectant cat emoji. After finishing saving the photos she had sent, I quickly replied, your pictures look good, but I think a soft, pouty lip style suits you better. When the time comes, I'll have the makeup artist emphasize that look. It fits you especially well. Pouty lips? Chloe immediately sent another photo. Like this? This selfie was much bolder. Her hazy eyes paired with her slightly tipsy-looking expression, and rosy complexion made it look like she had just finished a bottle of red wine. She had pushed the entire style to its limit. I smiled. She really understood exactly what men were weak against. Yeah, that's the style. But be careful with selfies like these. Don't send them around casually, or someone might use them against you. Chloe's affection toward the host +2. Current affection, 65. 45, keep it up, she replied in a spoiled tone. Aw, I won't. I only send my selfies to you, Mr. Ethan. You're so nice to me. Hardly anyone ever cares about me like this. Then I'm honored, I replied with a laughing emoji. It's getting late. I still have things to do. We'll talk next time. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ethan. Message me again when you're done. I really like sharing my life with you. I don't know why, but I've never felt like this before. I chuckled at the screen. Why? Obviously because of money. Did she really think I didn't know exactly what little schemes you were hiding? But it didn't matter. We were each getting what we wanted anyway. Besides, according to the system settings, once affection exceeded 100, it would be permanently locked. At that point, even if I chased her away with a stick, she wouldn't leave. She'd obediently become my top influencer workhorse. I shook my head and exited Chloe's chat, then opened the next conversation. The moment I opened Lily's chat, her greeting and photo popped up. Mr. Ethan, good evening. Are you home yet? Attached was a photo. That looked professional yet slightly seductive, with her wearing black stockings. She even added another question. What style should I go for in the future? Sexy or cute? I stared at the photo and thought for a moment. I almost forgot. This woman had already been waiting for me in the underground parking garage. I needed to finish what I was doing and see what kind of ambush she had planned. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lily was standing beside my car in the parking garage. Her face had turned slightly red from the cold wind. Lily bit her lower lip in frustration, twirling a strand of hair around her finger. She had already been waiting in the parking garage for more than an hour, and her legs were almost numb. Suddenly, her phone chimed, and a bright smile immediately appeared on her face. She quickly checked it. I had replied, not home yet. For work, you're probably better suited to a stylish, mature image. Mr. Ethan, you worked so hard. You're still busy this late. Would replying like that seem too boring? She frowned and thought for a moment, then sent me another selfie. This time, she was wearing a school uniform-inspired outfit. Mr. Ethan, does something like this work? I looked at the picture and smiled, suddenly wanting to tease her. So I replied, looks pretty good. You're suited for cosplay. Though the skirt would look better a little shorter, Lily's affection toward the host +1, current affection 72. Seeing my reply on the screen, Lily's heart immediately started pounding. Hey, Mr. Ethan, my feet are feeling a little uncomfortable. Could I hitch a ride in your car? She added a shy girl emoji. Sure, I'll come down when I'm finished. Find somewhere to wait. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ethan. Love you. Then I opened Ava's messages. Her message was clean and straightforward. Mr. Ethan, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to working with you. I replied, no need to be nervous around me. I'm easy to get along with. After replying to everyone, I let out a long breath and prepared to head to Rebecca's office. 2 minutes later, I knocked on the door. Rebecca, who was handling some paperwork, looked up in surprise. Her striking purple hair fell loosely around her shoulders, giving her an effortlessly casual air. She slowly said, "Come in." Rebecca wore a white blouse on top, with the collar slightly open, paired with a light purple fitted skirt. Her cool elegance carried an irresistible allure. A pair of thin-framed glasses rested on her high-nosed bridge, making her look even more mature and sophisticated. When she saw that it was me, Rebecca exclaimed in surprise, "Ethan, what are you doing here?" I casually replied, "Rebecca, I missed you, so I came to see you. What, am I not welcome?" "Of course not," Rebecca scolded me playfully, then stood up, walked over, and smiled. "Come here. Let me see if you've gotten taller." Oh my. Ethan really has grown up. She smiled warmly at me and reached out to ruffle my hair. Then compared our heights. Before teasing, "It hasn't even been that long, and you've grown taller again. You're getting more handsome too. Tell me, are there lots of girls chasing you at college? Be honest. Are you dating anyone? Bring her over sometime so I can help you judge her." I smiled and said, "No. They're all too young for my taste. If any of them were even 1/10 as beautiful as you, I'd probably agree immediately." "Get out of here. You even dare flirt with me now?" Rebecca's smile grew even brighter, and she lightly patted my chest. The moment her hand touched me, she seemed to notice something and exclaimed in surprise, "Your chest muscles are seriously hard." "Yeah. Rebecca, want to test them yourself?" I smiled and flexed my biceps, striking a powerful pose. A faint blush appeared on Rebecca's beautiful face. She reached out with a slender finger and poked me, then laughed softly. "They really are rock hard. All right, tell me, what did you actually come here for?" I looked at her innocently and said, "Rebecca, that hurts. Can't I come see you without needing something? I already said I missed you." Then I spread my arms and continued with a smile. "Rebecca, you've changed. You used to hug me whenever you saw me. Are you getting tired of me?" "Oh, stop it." She hesitated for a moment, but still gave me a gentle hug. The sudden masculine scent surrounding her seemed to make her heart waver slightly. Rebecca forced down the strange feeling inside her and said quietly, "I know you too well. You never come without a reason. So tell me, what do you want? Are you short on money? Or did some girl reject you and now you want dating advice?" She snorted and continued waiting. "If you don't tell me, I'm going home." I shrugged and said casually, "Go ahead. I drove here today. I'll take you home. I haven't visited your place in forever anyway." He complained inwardly, "This brat is already all grown up. Does he even understand boundaries?" But she still couldn't help sighing inside. Why does Ethan seem more handsome every time I see him? And so much more masculine too. Rebecca, what are you thinking? He's still just a kid. No thanks. I have my own car." Then Rebecca patted me on the shoulder. "Stop teasing me already. What do you actually want? Hurry up and tell me." I still didn't answer immediately. I simply stared quietly at her increasingly flushed face and silently commanded, "System, view Rebecca's information. Name, Rebecca. Age, 32. Appearance, 96. Personality, gentle and capable. Interests, work. Reading, affection, 92. Natural charm, experience, 0. Marital status, single. Current situation, being suppressed by Victor and gradually marginalized within the company. Current mood, physically and mentally exhausted. Current wish, to save the company from its current crisis, and hopes Victor disappears as soon as possible. Stop teasing me already. What do you actually want? Hurry up and tell me." Hearing that, I still didn't answer immediately. A trace of hesitation flashed through my eyes, as I wondered whether I should reveal Victor's true nature to her. But looking at the system panel, and seeing Rebecca's affection was as high as 92, combined with everything she had done in my previous life, I knew she was someone I could trust. After hesitating for a moment, I took a deep breath and finally made up my mind. My expression became serious, and I looked directly at Rebecca. Rebecca, do you know, something major happened at the company this morning? Rebecca shook her head, and her eyes dimmed slightly. Her expression turned bitter. I didn't hear about anything major. Rebecca had been suppressed by Victor inside the company for years and had long since been pushed to the sidelines. At this point, she knew almost nothing about the company's current developments and only had a few washed-up artists left under her management. Rebecca, do you know Marcus and Patrick? I narrowed my eyes slightly as a cold gleam flashed through them. Of course, those two are shameless scumbags. They rely on their relationship with Victor to throw their weight around inside the company and do whatever they want. The more she spoke, the angrier she became, and her hands unconsciously clenched into fists. I've told Victor about them countless times, but he never took it seriously. He even protected and indulged them. Listening to her complaints, the corner of my mouth slowly lifted, revealing a cold smile. I fired both of them today. You're serious? Rebecca's almond-shaped eyes widened in shock. Her face was filled with disbelief. How did Victor react? He actually let you fire his trusted men. A confident smile appeared on my lips. Why would I need his permission? I don't. Rebecca, don't forget, I'm the largest shareholder of this company. After a brief pause, I continued. And I have evidence that those two abused their positions to pressure female artists and harass female employees, even if Victor hated it. He still had no choice but to fire them. Hearing that, Rebecca couldn't help looking me up and down. A trace of admiration flashed through her eyes, and her voice carried a hint of amazement. Impressive, Ethan. I really underestimated you. It hasn't even been that long since I last saw you, and you've already become this capable. Are you planning to come back and take control of the company again? Yes, I nodded, and looked at her seriously. That's why I came to see you today, Rebecca. First, of course, because it's been a long time and I missed you. And the second reason is because I hope you'll help me. I looked at her intently, my eyes filled with sincerity and expectation. Rebecca's expression became serious. Have you thought this through? This won't be easy. She sighed helplessly. Right now, almost everyone in the company belongs to Victor's faction. Trying to interfere will be extremely difficult. And most of the minority shareholders are on his side too. She frowned and continued. I thought you came here today just to say hello. I never expected you were actually planning to bring Victor down. Rebecca sighed, then looked at me with concern. Ethan, I'm glad to see how much you've grown. But I still have to remind you that money can move people's hearts. There are hundreds of millions at stake here, and the darkness human nature can reveal may be far beyond what you imagine. I nodded heavily. I've thought it through very carefully, and precisely because it won't be easy. I need your help, Rebecca. I looked directly at her, my voice low but firm. Rebecca, you don't want to watch this company get completely ruined by a bastard like Victor, or even go bankrupt, do you? From the way you're talking, you seem to have a serious problem with Victor. Frowned slightly, with confusion in her eyes. He was your father's childhood friend, and they were as close as brothers. Hearing that, I gave a cold laugh, and hatred flashed deep in my eyes. Rebecca, what I'm about to tell you may sound unbelievable, but I need to make this clear. I suspect the car accident that killed my parents was planned entirely by Victor. My words struck like a bolt from the blue. Rebecca froze completely. What? Are you serious? How could that monster do something like that? Your father and he grew up together like brothers. Disbelief covered her face. Along with intense anger, her hands clenched tightly into fists, her nails almost digging into her palms. She forcibly suppressed the rage burning inside her and urgently asked, Ethan, do you have evidence that he did it? If you do, we should call the police immediately and let the law punish him. I replied in a deep voice. Rebecca, I'm still investigating. I don't have definitive evidence yet that can get him arrested directly. That's why I need to regain control of the company and force him to reveal his weaknesses. Hearing my words, took a deep breath, and her expression became solemn. If that's the case, then everything makes sense. Complicated emotions flashed through her eyes. Ethan, be honest, I've suspected for a long time that Victor was responsible for your parents' deaths. Her words made my heart jolt. I quietly looked at her. Rebecca's expression was filled with anger and grief. But Victor has always acted incredibly kind and respectable, and everyone around him thinks highly of him, except for me. No one would believe he could do something like that. You may not know what happened back then, but I was there, so I remember it clearly. Back then, Victor wanted to make more money by forcing company artists to attend drinking parties and use their bodies to bribe powerful officials and businessmen. When your father found out, he was furious. He said he didn't care what other companies did, but as long as he held his position, he would never allow something like that in his company. She continued telling the story, her voice trembling slightly. You didn't see how terrifying Victor's eyes looked that day. Before that, even I thought he was a kind man. But after your father said those words, Victor's eyes were so dark that he looked ready to kill someone. Hearing that, I clenched my fists as emotions surged inside me. And not long after that, your parents were killed in the car accident. I secretly investigated it for years, but never found any obvious evidence. Her voice grew quieter, filled with deep helplessness. All I know is that the driver responsible was a drunk truck driver. The police investigated his bank accounts, dear, but there were no suspicious deposits. She shook her head, her face filled with frustration. The only suspicious thing was that the driver already had leukemia and didn't have long to live. He died not long afterward, and his son received sponsorship from an overseas foundation and went to college. The more I thought about it, the stranger it seemed, but I could never find any evidence. Still, my instincts tell me Victor definitely had something to do with it. Listening to her, I felt a flood of emotions. Rebecca, I want to thank you on my dad's behalf for everything you've done all these years. And I'm sorry you've spent the past few years being pushed aside by Victor inside the company. I took a deep breath, then continued, with complete sincerity in my voice. If you're willing to help me, bring Victor down together. And of course, that would be best. But if you're tired and don't want to get involved anymore, I can also give you some money, so you can start your own business. Ethan, don't say that. She suddenly looked at me, with tears welling in her eyes. Her body trembled slightly, and her voice became choked with emotion. If it hadn't been for your parents back then, I probably would have dropped out after middle school and spent my entire life trapped in that mountain village. Your father was the one who gave me a chance. He helped a girl from nowhere get into college and become who I am today. Their kindness is something I can never repay in an entire lifetime. Seeing how sad she was, I hesitated for a moment, then still stepped forward, and gently hugged her. My hand slowly rested on her back, comforting her softly. She leaned against my solid chest, her body trembling slightly, with vulnerability and unease flashing through her eyes. I could feel that she hadn't felt this safe in many years. Rebecca's affection toward the host +1. Current affection, 93. Keep it up. We quietly held each other for a while, before she gently pushed me away. Her face was as red as a ripe tomato. She lowered her head, unable to look at me. After quite a while, she wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, then looked up at me with determination. Ethan, Victor may control the company right now, but your father left you those shares. You're still the largest shareholder. Sooner or later, he'll make a move against you. And the reason I've refused to leave the company all these years is because I was afraid something might happen to you. Since you want to come back and take control again, I'll do everything I can to help you. I looked at her sincere expression and felt deeply moved. My eyes became slightly wet, and my voice turned hoarse. Thank you. Rebecca, ever since my parents passed away, aside from Claire, you're the only person who has made me feel the warmth of family. Rebecca looked at me and sensed the vulnerability in my voice. Something inside her seemed to be touched, and she suddenly pulled me into her arms. She gently stroked my hair, her voice unbelievably soft. It's okay. It's all in the past now. I'll stay by your side. Her embrace filled me with warmth, and my heart relaxed slightly. But I was also caught completely off guard. I was just about to pull away, when everything in front of me suddenly went dark. She was practically squeezing the air out of me, what was going on. After a long while, she finally seemed to notice I couldn't breathe. She snapped back to reality and hurriedly released me. Rebecca's beautiful face turned bright red. A blush quickly spread from her ears down her neck. Her entire body seemed to be burning hot. As she struggled to calm the strange emotions inside her, she silently screamed inside and lowered her head, scolding herself. Ah! Am I crazy? How could I do something like that to Ethan? He's still just a kid who doesn't understand anything. She took a deep breath, cleared her throat several times, and suppressed those feelings. Then forced herself to calm down. She immediately returned to the main topic. Victor has made the company his stronghold. If we try to attack him from inside the company, it'll be extremely difficult. Do you have a good plan? Let's think it through together. 2 heads are better than 1. I caught the faint fragrance still lingering around me, and felt slightly dazed. But once I remembered what mattered, I quickly regained focus. Rebecca, I'm very optimistic about short-form video. This industry is definitely going to explode over the next few years. Today I went to Victor and got $10 million in startup funding from him. I also established an influencer development department. Now, I need someone talented like you to help me. Rebecca looked at me in surprise, disbelief written in her eyes. Clearly, everything I had done today had shocked her quite a bit. She praised me. Ethan, you're really impressive. I'm honestly starting to admire you. A little. I'm still only talking about ideas on paper, while you've already put yours into action. The influencer development department is still starting from nothing. So I'm counting on you to help build the team. She looked at me with a gentle smile, then nodded seriously. Don't worry. Ethan, your business is my business. I'll do my best. Anyone who has run an influencer agency knows that female influencers who usually seem aloof and untouchable can become extremely proactive around the boss. I hadn't even left work yet, and Lily, the influencer I had just signed, was already inviting me to her place tonight, claiming her cat could do backflips. At that moment, I had just left Rebecca's office and was heading toward the parking garage. Inside the underground parking garage, Lily was idly playing with her phone when she heard footsteps. She immediately raised her head, then quickly walked toward me. Mr. Ethan, you're finally done. You worked hard. The moment she finished speaking, the tsundere translator automatically activated. Finally, finally, finally. I've been waiting so long my legs are numb. I glanced at her and almost laughed. Looks like waiting for hours had built up plenty of resentment. I nodded slightly and smiled warmly. Yeah, I just finished. I opened the car door and sat in the driver's seat. Sorry to keep you waiting. Come on, get in. Mr. Ethan, can I sit in the passenger seat? I looked at Lily in surprise. Oh? You're pretty polite. It's fine. Sit wherever you want. Hearing that, Lily quickly got into the passenger seat. I started the car, then turned toward Lily. Where do you live? I'll take you there. Lily folded both hands neatly over her lap and said with slight nervousness, I live in Happiness Gardens near Zhongshan Road. All right, I nodded and slowly drove out of the parking garage. A faint perfume scent filled the car, and the atmosphere suddenly became quiet. Lily secretly glanced at me, then hesitated before asking, Mr. Ethan, do you really think I can become famous? I'm actually pretty anxious about it. She lightly bit her lip. Her eyes filled with worry. I glanced at her and nodded. You'll be fine. Don't worry. Short-form video is still in its early stages, and the market is waiting for people like us to develop it, as long as we're willing to invest resources. And the videos are high quality. Becoming popular will be incredibly easy. Lily cautiously asked, while staring closely at me. Then, Mr. Ethan, will you really invest resources in us? I smiled. Of course. Why else would I recruit you? Lily continued asking, with a hint of urgency in her eyes. But resources come in different levels. What determines how much we get? Is it based on performance data? Lily thought to herself, investing resources. Sounds nice. But spending 100 is still technically investing. And spending 100,000 is also investing. Those aren't remotely the same. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly. Performance data is obviously important. If the data is strong, you'll definitely get more resources. Then my tone changed. But that isn't the only standard. Besides the numbers, how well you perform personally matters too. You understand what I mean? As I spoke, I gave Lily a meaningful look. Lily's cheeks turned slightly red. Her lips parted. Then, she said sweetly, Mr. Ethan, I bought a really cute outfit and wanted you to help me judge it. The moment she finished speaking, the tsundere translator automatically activated. Just wait until I make you completely obsessed with me. As she spoke, she pulled an outfit from her bag and unfolded it for me to see. I casually glanced sideways. It was actually a REM costume with the iconic blue and white color scheme and delicate lace trim. I instantly understood. Not bad, not bad. She was much more obedient than Chloe, who loved putting on an act. High EQ choice assist activated. Option 1, grin mischievously. What's this supposed to be? I can't really tell from here. Why don't you model it for me right now? Option 2, say righteously, put that away. What kind of man do you think I am? Do you think such cheap tricks can tempt me? Let me warn you. My company does not tolerate this kind of behavior. You're fired. Option 3, smile with satisfaction. Not bad, not bad. That really is some good equipment. You're very sensible. I have high hopes for you. A mischievous smile curled across my lips. Not bad, not bad. That really is some good equipment. You're very sensible. I have high hopes for you. Romance points 100. Current total, 700. Lily's affection toward the host +3. Current affection, 75. Keep it up. Lily blinked her watery eyes and asked, expectantly, then, Mr. Ethan, how was my performance? Can I get more resources? Her eyes were filled with longing and expectation. Lily thought, I've already hinted this strongly. Mr. Ethan, even if he's dense, he should understand what I mean. I refuse to believe there's any man in this world who can resist a beautiful woman throwing herself at him. I didn't give her a direct answer, and instead smiled. Not bad. Barely enough to make me consider it. I'll still have to see how you perform later. My smile hid an unreadable meaning. It was only one outfit. I wasn't the type to commit before seeing real results. Lily lightly bit her lip and said softly, then I want to tell you, I'll definitely work hard. And I absolutely won't disappoint you. She looked pitifully disappointed. Lily, thought? Seriously? I've gone this far. And he still needs to think about it? Lily felt deeply wronged and looked at me resentfully, while doubts filled her mind. Wasn't she being obedient enough already? I secretly laughed, and while driving one-handed, said seriously, everyone has to work hard. Opportunities don't wait for people. Sometimes, when an opportunity appears, it may be the only one you'll ever get in your entire life. If you fail to seize it, then your life may never change. What did he mean? The moment I said that, Lily's heart skipped a beat, and she immediately started overthinking. Is he hinting at me? If I don't seize the opportunity now, maybe I won't get another chance. Lily looked around. We had hit evening rush hour traffic, and the car was crawling forward like a snail. Horns and engine noises sounded continuously, with cars packed tightly all around us. She became extremely conflicted, hesitating again and again. But then another thought occurred to her. If she still didn't make a move this time, she might really miss this rare opportunity. Screw it, I'm going all in. Lily made up her mind and tied her hair into a high ponytail, revealing her long, fair neck. Then she looked at me with a flirtatious gaze. Mr. Ethan, do I look good with my hair tied up? I glanced over from the corner of my eye, then nodded. Looks pretty good. Lily's affection toward the host +5. Current affection, 80. Keep it up. The car continued moving slowly along the road toward Happiness Gardens as night gradually deepened. The Porsche stopped outside Happiness Gardens. Inside the car, I leaned leisurely against the driver's seat, my fingers lightly tapping the steering wheel beneath my lowered brows, while my seemingly casual gaze remained fixed ahead. But from the corner of my eye, I kept watching every move Lily made in the passenger seat. The one who makes the first move loses the worst. That was my rule. I had no intention of taking the initiative and asking to go up to Lily's apartment. The two of us sat in that slightly ambiguous atmosphere, in silence for a while. I started getting bored. If we kept dragging this out, it would just be a waste of my time. Looks like I needed to add a little pressure. Force Lily to make a move. You can head upstairs yourself. I'm going home. My tone was completely casual, as if everything that had happened inside the car had only been a fleeting little episode to me. I deliberately acted like I was about to leave. signaling for Lily to get out. I tilted my head slightly and casually swept my gaze across Lily's suddenly panicked face. Lily abruptly raised her head, with traces of surprise still on her lips. She had been looking down, lost in thought, but now her heart suddenly tightened, as if an invisible hand had grabbed it hard. Lily licked her lips and hurriedly grabbed my arm. Her eyes darted around, Bass, as though desperately searching for an excuse. She stammered for a long moment before saying, Mr. Ethan, you're leaving just like that? The moment she finished speaking, the tsundere translator automatically activated. Lily, no way, Mr. Ethan, don't leave. Come upstairs. I already prepared everything. Her voice carried obvious urgency and unease, and her eyes unconsciously shifted toward the window. She looked distracted, as though trying to find some excuse that could make me stay. But what could she do? Inside Lily's heart, everything was boiling like a pot of water. We've only just started. Doesn't he want to move on to the next step? With me? Does Mr. Ethan really dislike me that much? Or am I not attractive at all? Lily had always been confident in her looks and figure, but now she was filled with self-doubt and anxiety. After holding it in for a while, she finally forced out another sentence. Mr. Ethan, are you really leaving? Do you still have something to take care of? Lily, Mr. Ethan, please don't leave. Looking at the tsundere translator subtitles floating above Lily's head, I secretly laughed and deliberately acted completely indifferent. I shrugged and casually said, nothing important. I'm just going home to rest. Hearing my answer, disappointment flashed through Lily's eyes, and she became even more anxious inside. The seduction plan she had carefully prepared seemed about to collapse completely. Because of my cold attitude, we were already right outside her home. Who would have thought? The duck she had already cooked was about to fly away. She bit her lip, making those rosy lips look even more tempting. Lily took a deep breath, and after hesitating for a moment, finally gathered the courage to say, would you like to come upstairs and sit for a while? Lily, seriously? Why doesn't Mr. Ethan have any gentlemanly awareness? Do I really have to say it first? Her voice was extremely soft, while her cheeks grew hotter and hotter. Her eyes were filled with expectation and nervousness. Lily genuinely didn't want to be too Sokka in her mind. Being too aggressive would make her seem cheap. She preferred to be more indirect, acting reluctant while still going along with it. That fit the elegant image she wanted to maintain. If I ever thought she was cheap, it would definitely hurt her position in my heart. And that position was what she planned to rely on in the future. But now the cooked duck was about to fly away. So with no other choice, guess, she could no longer care about dignity or calculation. I continued calmly, maybe not. You don't have to be polite with me. I knew Lily was already close to losing patience. Lily was screaming inside. She never expected me to be this difficult. Was I even a man? I had clearly seemed so impressive earlier. So why was I now facing a beautiful woman like her? Like an emotionless block of wood? Suddenly, an idea flashed through her mind. My cat can do backflips. Do you want to come see? As she spoke, she looked at me expectantly. The excuse was so terrible that even she felt embarrassed by it. But this was already her final move. She could only cling desperately to it, hoping I would at least save her some dignity. Hearing that, I froze slightly and gave her a strange look, but I still remained unmoved, my voice as plain as water. I'm not interested in cats. Lily completely gave up struggling. She took a deep breath, then said with a red face, fine. Actually, I just want to spend some time alone with you. Her voice was soft and shy, and her eyes were filled with girlish embarrassment and desire. Her tone carried a faint hint of temptation. At that moment, the tsundere translator subtitles, B, also changed. Lily. Fine, I'm done pretending. I'll admit it. I want to be your lover. I could barely suppress the corners of my mouth as a triumphant smile spread across my face. My eyes carried amusement. Spend some time alone with me? What do you want to do? Lily's voice was barely louder than a mosquito. She lowered her head and nervously twisted the hem of her clothes. Her fingers turned pale from gripping so hard, and her pretty face was as red as a ripe apple, almost as if it could drip water. This feeling of controlling everything was incredibly addictive, compared with going straight to the point. I actually enjoyed this intense battle before the real confrontation. This back and forth probing even more. I see. I smiled and nodded, then restarted the car and slowly drove into the residential complex. Lily sat in the passenger seat, with both hands nervously gripping her clothes. She secretly glanced at me from time to time, her eyes filled with nervousness and expectation. Her heart pounded like a drum, and her breathing became faster. Her chest rose and fell slightly. Is the real thing finally about to start? I looked completely relaxed, keeping my eyes focused on the road, with the same faint smile on my lips, as though enjoying the subtle atmosphere. Finally, the car stopped beneath the building where Lily lived. I turned off the engine, then looked at her, with a teasing expression. This is the place? At that moment, Lily was mentally simulating the upcoming battle. Her face was bright red. Seeing her spacing out, I reminded her, "We're here. What are you thinking about?" Lily jumped in surprise, and abruptly snapped back to reality. And nothing. Her eyes darted away, and she didn't dare look directly at me. Looking at the Sundar translator subtitles. Above Lily's head, I saw, Lily. I can't exactly tell him I was mentally simulating our battle. Losing miserably every single time. You even started simulating it? Even Linda, a foreign woman, had already lost to me, and you still think you can defeat me? Dream on. Maybe because I was in a good mood. I patiently repeated the question. We're here. Is this your building? Lily checked the building entrance, then quickly answered, still looking flustered. Why, yes, this is it. All right, let's get out. I nodded. After parking the car, I headed toward the building. Lily followed behind me with her head lowered, her face flushed, and her steps slightly hurried. Just as Lily and I reached her building, a beautiful young woman happened to walk over from the other side. The moment she saw us, she greeted us enthusiastically. "Oh, Lily, you're finally home from work. Is this handsome guy your boyfriend?" She was Lily's neighbor from across the hall, a divorced single woman. The two often visited each other and chatted. Yes, so they were quite close. For a moment, Lily didn't know how to answer. She wanted to say I was her boyfriend, but she was afraid I might be unhappy. Just as she was struggling over what to say, I spoke first. Good evening. I'm Lily's boyfriend. Lily's affection toward the host. 5. Current affection, 85. Keep it up. Lily was deeply moved, even though she knew I had only said it to help her out of an awkward situation. The beautiful neighbor said enviously, "Oh my, don't call me that. I'm already in my 30s. I'm much older than both of you." Lily, you're seriously lucky. You actually found such a handsome boyfriend. I smiled and said, "You look too young to call anything else."